got 15 of the most upvoted, updated Reddit stories for the month of June. These are the 15 most popular posts on Reddit for the Best of Redditor Updates subreddit, chosen by Reddit, so you know they're juicy. Normally, there are a lot of repeats in these videos, but as you guys know, I haven't been able to upload as much because of my move, so pretty much all of these stories are new. I think there are 2, maybe 3 that have fully shown up in other videos, and there are some stories that I've read before, but they have new updates. Starting off with my 15-year-old idiot kid got his girlfriend pregnant on purpose. I know this story has been everywhere because it's a crazy story, but I read this a couple of days ago, and when I went to finish this video and make this intro, I realized that there are 2 brand new updates for this story that we're actually gonna I'm literally live right now while I'm recording this. So we're gonna read this. So this is probably one of the first videos that you will see with all of the updates added to it. So stick around for that, but also stick around for 14 more absolutely insane updated Reddit stories, such as, am I the a-hole for laughing at my stepson and ruining his wedding? As well as, my new manager is someone I slept with years ago, and he doesn't know we have a child. Juicy stories in this one, you guys. Y'all know the drill. Let's lock in here and read some Reddit. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I plan on never speaking to my brother once I turn 18? Originally posted to r/am-I-the-a-hole on July 7th, 2020, there is an editor's note at the beginning that I think we should read. Sensory processing disorder, SPD, is a condition where a person's brain has trouble receiving and responding to sensory information from the environment and their own body. Imagine your senses like a radio, and SPD is like the radio having trouble tuning into the right station or getting static. This can lead to a person being overly sensitive or not sensitive enough to things like touch, sound, sight, smell, or movement. Okay, I'm guessing that's going to be important in the story. I, 16 male, will keep this as short as possible. My mom and dad divorced when I was 4. I lived with my mom until I was 14, and my brother lived with my dad. He was 20 when I moved up to live with him and my dad. I have another older brother who still lives with my mother, but he isn't relevant in this other than the fact I am much closer with him. I had to move in because my mother couldn't take care of me. My dad happily let me come live with him. I think the only other relevant backstory is I have SPD, sensory processing disorder. This affects how sensitive my hearing is. High-pitched and loud sounds are almost painful for me. My sight, very, very quick moving objects and flashing lights can overwhelm me, and my touch. I can't stand certain textures or random, unwarned skin-on-skin contact. Everyone in my family knows this and is very accommodating, which I'm always incredibly grateful for. Everyone except my brother. He plays extremely high-pitched audio in my ears randomly. He'll flash lights in my eyes. He's even told his friends I love hugs so much, and I'm really happy when people randomly hug me. I'm not. It's been like this for the 2 years I've been living with him and my dad, and it's only gotten worse. Most recently, he called me to his room saying he was hurt and needed help, and when I ran into the room, he played his speakers as loud as they could go and turned on strobing lights that he has for whenever he goes to a party. I completely lost it. I felt like I was underwater. I remember scratching at my ears and around my eyes, but other than that, I don't remember much. My dad came and helped me and told my brother not to do it again. Dog, this is a 20-year-old. No, wait, this was a 20-year-old while OP was 14. And now OP is 16, so this is a 22-year-old basically being a high school bully. Not only that, but like, what is this dad doing? One of my grown-ass kids is bullying my other child who is a minor still. They're getting kicked out of the house. What is this 22-year-old bum doing? You know, like, obviously blame on this brother, but also blame on the dad. The dad should be pulling levers to make sure he doesn't act like this. My dad always speaks to him about it every time after, and he always says he won't do it again, but he always does. Yesterday was a breaking point for me. I'd been downstairs baking with my dad when he came in and said he was having some friends over. In the back garden was social distancing. My dad said that's fine, and my brother asked if he could take out his speaker and put the lights on. Dad asked me if I was okay with that, and I said yes, as long as I got plenty of notice. My brother screamed at me, saying, Oh my God, for once in your life, can you be fucking normal? I shouldn't have to warn you of anything. You're so fucking annoying. Hey dog, I think he would prefer if he was normal too, but it's not something you can control. Oh God, normalize kicking out your shitbag adult children when they act like this. My dad asked him to stop shouting and he did. He left and my dad asked if I was okay. And I told him, why does it matter if I'm okay or not? I've dealt with this for 2 years, only 2 more, and I never have to speak to him again. My dad got upset. He is very close to his 3 brothers, my uncles, and thinks I should just forgive him to patch things up. Hey man, I have a way you could patch them up. Be a better father. He said he was disappointed in me for thinking about cutting my brother out of my life. I was always considering going no contact with him because of everything he's done, but after what my dad said, I can't help but think I'm overreacting to this. Would I be the a-hole for cutting him out the day I turn 18? I mean, no. Like, yeah, you should just put aside the fact that your brother bullies you and is ableist as fuck. Just put that to the side because I have brothers that treat me like shit and I just keep the peace because they're family. I don't know. He's just a failure of a father. This might be a hot take, but I think OP should go no contact with the dad too, because the dad isn't helping this situation. The dad wouldn't have to be doing the keep the peace conversation if the dad was doing his job and kicking his bum ass son's ass, bro. Not gonna lie, bad take, bro. Listen, I don't mind if y'all say I got a bad take. If you're coming in and not saying why it's a bad take, especially when I think you're just wrong, don't come in here and be like, oh, that's such a bad take and leave it at that. At least argue the counterpoint. I'm curious to see why this motherfucker is saying bad take, because the dad is enabling all this. The dad is allowing his son to bully the shit out of OP and he's refusing to discipline him. That's a parent not protecting their child. That's a shit way to parent. But if that's your approach to parenting, you shouldn't have had fucking kids because you're dumb. I don't agree with kicking your kids out of the house either, unless they're being pieces of shit. And I'm not even saying that he should kick them out. What I'm saying is, if this is the parent, I'm like, hey, I want to give you a place to live. But if you as an adult child are making it hard for our minor child to live in the house, one's got to go and it's gonna be you. And I think that's how any normal person should parent. Lower contact with the dad if he's not dealing with the issue properly so he understands, but he bakes with and spends time with him. I think it's a failure to discipline and a failing on his part, but doesn't warrant no contact with the dad. Every other aspect of the story implies he's on good standing with the dad. So what you're saying is because he bakes and spends time with him, he should just forgive the fact that he's not giving OP a safe place to live as a minor who needs a safe place to live. And not only that, when OP expresses how he's going to react to that, he blames OP for it and not the actual problem. Maybe OP should take the time to explain that, but high key, dumb. I feel like spending time with someone who lets someone else emotionally and physically terrorize you just isn't it. That's how I feel Elster stares. In any other context where the OP is being abused by someone else and there is a third party in that story allowing OP to be abused by that other person when they have the power to put it to an end, we would say go no contact. I firmly believe that. Like this dad, even though he spends time with him and he bakes with him and might be a good dad in other aspects, is failing at, to me, is like a deal breaker as a father. Thank you, Kubin. That is a great way to sum it up. Imagine letting your adult child terrorize your disabled minor child. That simplification, I don't know how you can not look at that and not think that's no contact worthy. I think most of us are on the same page. Good discourse around it for sure. So verdict on this is not the a-hole. We do have a couple top comments here. This person said not the a-hole. Honestly, it sounds like he is jealous. He was an only child for many years. Then you move in. With you having SPD, he probably sees it as your dad coddling / favoring you. The dynamic of the family / living situation is different than what he is used to. He's an adult. What he is doing is harassment and could get in serious trouble. Your brother needs a wake-up call and soon. This commenter said what he's doing is abusive and your dad has allowed it for years on end. He's just as much of an asshole. That's what I was saying. Oh, I like this. A commenter said, not the a-hole. I also have sensory processing disorder, and my sister has always been a real jerk about, well, everything, including doing things like saying, I know you hate hugs before hugging me. A lot of her BS stopped when I drew firm boundaries. Why wait? Stop talking to your brother now. Don't go to his room. Pretend he's a poltergeist. Just stay the heck away from him and tell your dad he can either enforce a real punishment for your brother or he can also lose you at 18. He's not parenting. He's just sticking his head in the sand. Exactly. He definitely said it a lot better than I did. I'm feeling failure to parent here, bro. OP updated it on September 2020, 2 months later on the same post. Update. So much has happened since I posted this, so I wanted to come and let you know I'm currently typing this safely from my mother's, whilst my other older brothers chucking popcorn at me to catch in my mouth. Thank you so much to everyone who commented and messaged me. What James, fake name, did to me never registered as abuse until it was pointed out to me. I wouldn't have had the courage to do what I did without all of your support, so thank you for saving my life. After reading the comments, I decided to give my dad one last chance to put an end to James's behavior. I sat him down and told him that what he was doing to me was physically painful. How would he like it if someone smacked him and pinched him constantly? He told me he was sorry I felt that way, but I also have to understand how difficult it is for my brother to adjust to having another person in the house. He's a fucking 22-year-old who lives at home with his dad. He can adjust to whatever the fuck he needs to. If you are an adult living with your parent and you need to adjust to your sibling and you can't do that, once again, failure to parent, failure to become a regular functioning adult. I still blame the dad. The dad is enabling all of this through the entire story. I saw red. I lost it. I screamed at him that a 22-year-old should be able to get used to not being daddy's center of attention, that it was no excuse to exploit my disability to torture me constantly. He didn't say anything, so I walked out, just left, and walked to my favorite skate park nearby. I called my other brother, let's call him Daniel for not having to constantly say other brother, and told him I needed him to come get me right away. My mom was at work, so I didn't call her. He was there in 20 minutes and I told him everything James has done and what dad said to me. I've never seen him as angry as he was. He told me to get into his car, so I did, and he drove us to my dad's. He told me to go pack all my bags and that he was taking me home. Dad tried to talk to me, but I ignored him, just started packing. I couldn't make out everything that was said, but Daniel laid into him, screaming his head off. I didn't have much, so I was packed pretty quickly. He told me to go wait in the car. I found out from him after he came to the car, he was in the house an extra 10 minutes, that he went to James and told him to never think of contacting either of us again. Apparently, James tried to convince him that it should have just been him and Daniel, that I shouldn't have been born at all, and that everything was better before I was born. Daniel punched him. Hell yeah, hard. He had 2 fractured fingers that he got treated after we left. And that's it. I haven't heard from them since. Daniel told me to write a list of everything that sets off my SPD and that he'd make sure the house is as SPD safe as possible. My mom cried when I told her what happened and promised I'd always had a place with her and Daniel, which brings us to now watching the perks of being a wallflower, typing this with Daniel still chucking popcorn at me. Once again, thank you everyone so much for the support and help. I wouldn't be where I am now if not for it. Be safe, everyone. All right, you know what? I see the W Daniels in chat. We love an actually good fucking brother. I'm just glad OP had somewhere safe to go. And like I said, y'all, I know the story went in my favor, and maybe you still think that how OP reacted with the dad is overboard, but I think no contact with the dad and the brother is just the right move, because neither of them care for OP or their safety in a genuine way. And I think anybody like that, especially family, is not worth keeping around. I got a call from the police about a work incident and want me to come in to talk. Do I go in? We have a 17 female OP posted in r/advice on June 5th, 2025. I, 17 female, have been working at a local grocery store for 2 years. It's a great place to work and I really would hate to lose my job. This morning, I got a phone call from the police telling me they've been made aware of an incident at the grocery store that involves me, and they want me to come into the station to discuss what it's about. I told them that I have a shift this morning. They told me to call in sick and come to the station. That's super fucking sus. What? The only thing I can think it's about is that I've been taking old bakery items and produce at the end of the days when I'm closing. The food either gets sent away as a donation or thrown in the trash. I always make sure I'm not taking from the donation section. The manager told me it's okay for me to do this, but I know the owner wouldn't approve. I'm freaking out. Am I going to get charged with stealing? Would I get in this much trouble for taking expired cookies at the end of my shift? I don't even think the owner could prove I've done this. There aren't any cameras at the back room with the garbage. I don't think the manager would tell on me since he tells me and offers me these things. Do I go in? Help. I told the police that I'll see what I can do about work and get back to them. A couple of red flags here. Number one, girl, you're 17. You're a minor. The police should be asking for your parents to go along with you so that they can have permission from them to talk to you. Number two, telling you to call in sick is super sus. Like, the police should be telling your work, especially if it's work related. There shouldn't even be a need to call in sick. I mean, this is pretty recent. Maybe I'm stretching here, but like, I want to know what OP's ethnicity is, because especially with what's been going on all last month with ICE, it seems like some sketchy shit that ICE would pull. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the first thing I would do is make sure that your parents know and are involved in this. Okay, so OP clarifies in the comments. Sorry, yes, they did tell me to bring an adult with me. Both my parents are at work, and I was super afraid to call them to tell them and confess I've been stealing. In parentheses, I guess it's stealing, but I think I do need to call them. We'll do that now. I mean, shit, I mean, technically it's stealing, but I don't know why you'd make a fuss out of it if you're gonna throw it away anyways. That seems stupid. Like, I don't know. I just feel like any normal parent is gonna be like, oh yeah, that's pretty dumb. Like, technically it is stealing, but like, we used to give out Rice Krispie treats at my tour guiding job, and at the end of the day, if there were Rice Krispie treats left, we would just be giving them. Like, I feel like that should be a standard employee thing to do if there's food involved. Hey, we are going to donate and or throw this away. Here you go. A commenter said there's a minimum dollar amount for theft to be considered a crime, if you will. And I want to say it's normally about $700, and it has to be in one theft. If it's below the minimum of whatever is in your jurisdiction, it's likely a misdemeanor and you can't be prosecuted from what I remember. I used to work in high value specialty retail, so I had to know these rules. OOP said that's a relief because I really don't think I've been taking over $700 in expired food. The police did give me their badge numbers and names to write down to give to my parents. I've tried calling my parents, but they're both at work and didn't pick up. Sent them texts. My shift isn't for another 2 hours, so I'm going to wait for my parents before calling the manager. Update 1 on the same post about 8 minutes after they posted. I texted my parents and my mom just called. She told me she called the police and that she's coming to pick me up in a half an hour to go to the station. She sounded really upset, but not at me. She told me that I'm not in trouble, but to not even call my work. What is going on? And then there's a second update on the same post sometime in the next several hours. Update 2. Wow, thank you for all the advice. I took the initial ones I read and got my parents involved right away. My mom was a boss. I have to think about what I can update and get back to you all later, because it's honestly really bad. Like, nightmare fuel and legally bad. I'm okay, I think. Was at the station for a few hours. I'm not in trouble. It's not about stealing cookies, but it's far from over. Sorry for being so vague. Damn, okay. Well, I'm glad OP's not getting in trouble. That's a start. Update 3 on the same post, June 6th, 2025, the next day. So first I want to clarify. The police were not suggesting that I go in without my parents. They called me and asked to speak to my parents. When I told them they were not home, they asked me to get them to call them back. When I asked what it was about, they told me the above. When I told them I can't come in today because I'm working, they told me it was important and to do what I needed to do, like call in sick. Okay, I guess that's very different than just being like, oh bro, like call in sick. I apologize for being more clear about that phone call. A lot of you were concerned the police were trying to take advantage of me. Thank you for caring. I was just freaking out thinking I was going to get in trouble for stealing old bakery items that the manager told me I could take. I've never been in trouble before, so I was mortified I'd have to confess this to my parents. The first few commenters were telling me to talk to my parents, which kind of snapped me out of it. And like, duh, I need to tell my parents. So I did pretty quickly. I don't know what the police told my mom, but she got home faster than she said and took me straight there. My dad was there when we got there. I was freaking out, even though my mom told me it was not about me stealing and did not worry about that. She also called my work and told them I wouldn't be coming in for my shift. On to the update. The previous manager was filming employees changing in and using the bathroom. An old coworker was tipped off by someone that they found a video of her on some porn website. There were dozens of videos posted of multiple girls over many years using the bathroom and changing in the bathroom. I am one of those girls. No. The only video I saw of myself that they wanted to verify it was me was of me going into the washroom to put my hair up and putting lip gloss on in the mirror. I know there is more, but I didn't want to see it. There was a whole team there of mostly female officers, counselors, etc. I was actually pretty impressed by how they presented and handled it all. Because, well, like so many of you, I don't trust cops and they've never really made me feel safe. The old manager was arrested. I'm not sure when, but it was before they called me. They got my number from one original victim who gave out numbers of all female employees that she had. It's a whole thing. I was asked many questions. I was also asked to identify 2 unknown victims, like a screenshot from a video. Seems like they are customers who somehow got access to the employee bathroom because no one can identify them. It's been a lot to process. I always thought that guy was a creep. He's the nephew of the owner. I fucking wish it was about pastries. Holy shit. Castration immediately. Wow, dude, that is so fucked up. So this is a comment from OP saying, apparently this has been an investigation for a while now. The OG victim stopped working there 3 years ago, which means he's been filming in there since before I worked there, but he only left 6 months ago. So he was filming while I was 15. Oh my God, bro. Yeah, looks like OP's not going back to work. They mentioned that they have therapy set up. OP also said in a comment they are putting together a whole charge on him with any of the girls that want to press charges. Parents are talking about suing the store. That's fucking crazy, man. Like, just some shit that, like, girls have to fucking worry more about. Because, like, this isn't the only story of guys setting up hidden cameras to try to see girls naked. I know there was some shit about Hooters where this happened. There were some shits about Airbnb where this happened. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. If I ever have a daughter, I'm gonna be an overprotective dad to the max, bro. Am I the a-hole for calling my husband a disgrace after he said my miscarriage ruined his birthday? Advice needed. I miscarried yesterday afternoon around 12 p.m. I've never had a miscarriage before, and this baby was so wished for, so it's all so fresh, and I'm sobbing right now. So I apologize in advance if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My husband turned 27 yesterday. I, 26 female, was pregnant with mine and my husband's 27 male second child. Yesterday, I was 8 weeks pregnant. The day before yesterday, we saw a beautiful heartbeat flicking on the screen, and today, I'm devastated. I was playing with our 2-year-old when I felt pressure in my lower abdomen. Not long later, I noticed bleeding, and I let my husband know immediately that I had discomfort and bleeding. Before long, I had passed what I believe is the fetus, and I messaged him, I think I lost the baby. I wanted to keep him updated, and I guess I was seeking some kind of emotional support. I asked if he could come home, and he said, of course, if it's urgent. If it's urgent, she just said, I think I lost the baby. How is that not urgent? In what universe is that not urgent? I said, I think it is because the pain and bleeding is getting worse and I'm starting to feel lightheaded, and our 2-year-old is unattended in his playroom right now. We have no friends or family near that I could call who would get to us quicker than he could. I had to clean myself up, crawl downstairs to take paracetamol, make my son his lunch, and then put him down for a nap. At this point, my husband still isn't home. He was working approximately 30 minutes away and took closer to 60 minutes to get back. Hours later when I asked, it was because he'd stopped at Tesco to pick up some beers. Straight to the garbage. Get rid of the whole man. I ended up very poorly, losing lots of blood, lightheaded, vomiting, etc. And he had to take me to the emergency room. By the time I was discharged, it was almost 8 p.m. Last week, I had said I'd make him his favorite dinner for his birthday, which he reminded me when we were almost home. I said I wasn't feeling up to it and that whatever takeout he wants is on me. He said, for fuck's sake, under his breath, and then muttered something along the lines of, this bullshit has ruined my birthday. Yeah, dude, because that's the priority right now. He didn't stop to get any takeout. He just drove straight home. He put our son to bed and I went to bed, and I'm not sure what he did after. I didn't see him this morning as he had already left for work. He's not messaged me all day, and he got home a few hours ago. It's now 8:40 p.m., and he's been giving me silent treatment. I tried to speak to him about an hour or so ago, and he ignored me, and I called him a disgrace. He slammed the bedroom door and locked me out of the bedroom. His mom has since messaged me and said I need to be patient as he's also had a loss. Girl, that does not seem like what he's mad about right now. His loss is that he didn't get to celebrate his birthday when his fucking wife just miscarried their baby. What do you mean he's also had a loss? She didn't ask how I was or anything. He's obviously speaking to his mom, but why isn't he opening up and speaking to me? She said I was harsh? The fuck? I'm sorry, y'all. Don't get me wrong. A miscarriage is traumatic to the father, too. If for some reason he actually is mad and he's just vocalizing it through something else, I guess his birthday. But either way, I think, and maybe this is the inner man hater in me, but I think that the priority is the woman who just had a miscarriage, was bleeding, vomiting, had to go to the hospital, and also passed her fetus juice out of her vagine, bro. Like, I'm sorry. You are not the priority, bro. Don't get me wrong. Your feelings are important and you should definitely address them. But at that moment, your wife is the one who you cater to. But honestly, y'all, I severely doubt he actually gives a shit about that. I truly think he probably is like, well, this ruined my birthday. Wee woo. Oh no, woe is me, my poor birthday. I'm feeling utterly emotionally neglected right now. My body has been through emotional and physical hell. I understand that my miscarriage came at a fucking inconvenient time for him, as it was his birthday and all. I'm not sure if it's the hormones making me feel crazy, but is it nuts to contemplate divorce? Am I the a-hole for calling him a disgrace? No, girl. Listen, I'm sure this man was exhibiting red flags before. If these are the only red flags he's exhibiting, I think divorce is totally merited. It hurts me to know that this man has a child because he in himself is a fucking child. The way that he went about this situation is unacceptable. I know it's hard, and maybe he truly is just deflecting and saying that he's upset about his birthday or whatever, but either way, his actions and the way he's acting is not okay in this situation. I don't think there's any excuse for the absolute assery this man is putting on. Like, how will he be supporting his kid through tough times and losses? Exactly. Sorry, I'll plan my miscarriage better next time. No, for real. Like, what a fucking asshole, bro. She does need to divorce this man. Like, he really did show his true colors. You do not want a partner who's gonna fucking be this much of a little bitch when like something serious happens to you. Absolutely diabolical. We have a couple of comments from OP. OP clarifies, off topic, I'm on AL, annual leave, and return to work on Monday. I've already told a handful of my close coworkers that I am pregnant. I have no idea how to navigate this. What is the best way to tell people that I am no longer pregnant? Do I just say? Do I wait for them to ask? I feel so stupid for telling people so soon, so I put myself in this position. What's the least awkward way to address it so that there's absolutely no follow-up questions? I don't want to discuss it any more than I have to because I just keep breaking down. Thanks. A commenter replied, you tell the person you are closest to spread the news for you and tell them to make it clear you don't want to talk about it. Okay, that's actually a great answer. I wouldn't have known the answer to that one. So this commenter is saying that OP should go to their doctor to get signed off for work, basically get a doctor's note to take some time for themselves, which I actually agree with. OOP replied, are you in the UK? I'm in England. My doctor's surgery is closed until Tuesday because of the bank holiday weekend. Do you know if OOHGPs are able to sign me off work? No idea what that is. My work involves closely monitoring new members of staff, assessing them, and signing them off to work independently. I need to be able to focus completely as there's no room for error and be smiley and friendly. I don't think I'm able to do this right now, but I'm not sure how to get signed off as I am back in work on Monday. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Damn, bro. God forbid you can tell your employer, hey, I just had a miscarriage. I need to take some time for myself. That's the type of employer I want to be, bro, is like my worker comes to me and is like, bro, I just had something traumatic happen to me. I can be like, bro, take some time to yourself. A commenter said, important. You are still at risk of infection at this juncture. It's still dangerous for you. Monitor your bleeding and temperature. Your marriage is over. How long you stay with him is up to you, but this man is neither husband nor father material. He cares more about his wants than you or your child's needs. It took a crisis like this to show you who he really is. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you're going through all this. OOP replied, I also have tonsillitis at the moment, so I'm feeling really rough. How will I know if a fever is from that or the miscarriage? I currently have a low-grade fever of 37.9 degrees Celsius, around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but I'm not sure what it's due to. The bleeding is no longer heavy. Another commenter replied, honey, have you got a doctor to consult? Best to ask them. I don't know how to tell the difference. I just know I wound up with an infection in emergency D&C a week after a miscarriage. The bleeding didn't show for me, plus a slight fever. I didn't expect to be sick later. OP replied, I spoke with my doctor yesterday, and because of the bank holiday weekend, I can't have a scan until Tuesday to confirm everything has been passed. I spoke to a pharmacist today who said to try home remedies because he doesn't think it's severe enough for antibiotics at this point, as he could only see 3 white spots on my tonsils. Damn, this poor woman, bro. She has like no help right now. Like, not only can she not see a doctor, but then her husband's being a little baby back bitch. It looks like somebody made a comment about you can't hear a heartbeat at 8 weeks, and there's a deleted comment. I didn't mention anything about hearing a heartbeat. They don't listen to heartbeat through ultrasound here in England. They use Dopplers later on in the pregnancy. We saw the heartbeat flickering on the ultrasound after the technician smiled and pointed it out to us. By the sounds of things, you're lucky enough to have never been referred to EPAC for an early scan. I had a scan at 6 weeks and a scan at 8 weeks. You're kind of correct that the NHS do the first scan at 12 weeks, the dating scan. But unfortunately, not everyone has fucking straightforward pregnancies. Don't pull apart my story and try to invalidate my fucking miscarriage. I apologize for being short, but I had no sleep last night and I'm in so much pain. then picked up my phone to see a commenter that my story is probably fake because some sheltered person has had the pleasure of not attending EPAC. What is EPAC? I have no idea what it is. Early Pregnancy Assessment Clinic. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. A nurse-led outpatient clinic for women in early pregnancy between 6 and 19 weeks. Got it. And then we do have another comment from OP a few hours later. Fever is currently 38.5 degrees Celsius, 101.3 degrees Fahrenheit. I think I'm gonna have to head to A&E or their emergency room for peace of mind. Thank you guys for your advice. I'll try to respond to comments in regard to my husband when I'm feeling better and have recovered. It's just been a really hellish day and a half. And then there is a side post, April 19th, 2025. OOP posts screenshots of her NHS profile. So basically proving that she did in fact have a miscarriage, which said that she has to prove that, quote unquote, to people. And then there was a mini update in the comments, April 21st, 2025, 2 days later, 3 from the original post. I'm not sure how to do an update or if anyone will see this. I have left my husband. Me and my son are staying with family and are safe. I have another scan tomorrow to make sure I've passed everything successfully. Thank you to everyone who has reached out and offered advice. It's been really helpful. Plus, I started antibiotics for my tonsillitis on Saturday, and I'm already feeling much better. I mean, we've been saying big W-wubbies that the fucking husband is gone. I think that's always the right answer. Y'all, I'm curious about this update. Please tell me you divorced his fucking bitch ass. Update came 3 days after the original post. I should have clarified in my original post from last week that the way my husband responded was completely out of character for him. He's usually a caring and supportive man and is a good husband and father. The only incident where he's shown any kind of red flags was when I put together an accent chair. I used a screwdriver to attach the legs to the seat, and when he came home from work and saw that I'd done it myself, he jumped on it until it broke to show that I didn't do it properly and that I should have waited for him to come home. That's honestly worse. Like, for him to be acting so caring and supportive, but then 180s and just... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me keep reading, actually. He'd been under lots of stress at work, so I asked him to go to therapy, which he did, instead of pulling the divorce card straight away. We have been together for 7 years in May, and he's the only partner I've ever known. My family all loves him and have accepted him from day one. Okay, so what I'm getting from this paragraph is he's a loving, caring, supportive man, good husband, good father, but when he endures any kind of stress, he acts like an immature asshole. Honestly, y'all, fucking I'll say it. I think she should have pulled the divorce card when he did this shit. Like, good for him for going to therapy. But A, clearly this isn't working, and B, I think how you act under stress to your partner says a lot about you as a person. Like, if you get stressed and you take it out on your partner, you're not ready for a relationship. High key hot take. Maybe this is just my perspective on relationships and how they should work. But genuinely, if you get stressed and your response is to treat your partner like shit, there is something wrong with you. When you're stressed, you should go to your partner for relief. You should go to your partner to healthfully be able to relieve that stress. If you get stressed and start treating your partner poorly, that is a problem. There is a clear issue there that you need to work on. I still stand on that shit heavy, bro. Because I've been with plenty of girls who like use it as an excuse, bro. They use it as an excuse. They're like, I'm stressed right now and therefore I have to treat you like shit. I don't believe in that. Like, don't get me wrong. I totally understand a quick outburst here and there, but I think it's like, you can't let stress like bleed into the relationship. That might be a hot take, but I think that is red flag behavior personally. The stress isn't the exception. It means he doesn't have the energy to keep his mask up. That's what I'm thinking. Don't get me wrong. I understand stress and like lashing out by like yelling at them a little bit or something like that. But if you're stressed and you're fucking cruel to your partner and you're not able to be like, okay, I'm stressed right now. I just lost my child to a miscarriage, but my wife had to actually go through the process of like pushing a dead fetus out of her body and like bled, vomited, had to be taken to the hospital. If you can't understand that like she's the priority and that you need to handle your stress on your own and be there for your partner, and then on top of that as well, his reaction to her, I lost the baby, is just inexcusable. No matter what kind of stress he's going through, I think that's a bad partner. You do not want someone there who's going to treat you like shit when they're stressed. I also should have clarified, yes, I know he was an a-hole in that scenario. I wasn't questioning that. What I was questioning was whether I took it a step too far in calling him a disgrace. He's going through a lot at work at the moment. It was his birthday. I'd been messaging him and telling him that I'd miscarried his child and he had to leave work early. And then I called him a disgrace after he'd taken me to the hospital and was responding to the grief in his own way. I think the majority of people said I was not the a-hole in this scenario and due to his behavior that my insult was justified. Thank you to everyone who reached out and checked in, offered condolences and emotional support. I've read all my messages and tried to read most of the comments. Most of them have been very kind and useful and have helped a lot over the past few days. I had a scan yesterday which confirmed that everything is passed successfully. Some people may remember that I was very worried about retained tissue due to my fever over the weekend. Also, my tonsillitis is fully cleared up, so I'm feeling almost back to normal physically. I left my husband. Me and my son are staying with family in a different part of the country, so we are safe and are managing. My husband did get very angry when I told him that I was leaving him. He tried to stop me from leaving with our son, put hands on me, and threatened to end his life. I mean, bro, this man is just a walking red flag. That was his moment to show remorse and feel sorry for how he was acting. My mom intervened, and like I said, we are safe. I have some time off work now, so I will continue to take time to recover emotionally and plan my next steps. Thank you if you read this far. I doubt there will be any more updates after this. I mean, I'm glad she left. That was red flag city. There were so many red flags there. I think she made the right move. If someone threatens to K-word themselves in a way to manipulate you, you just say, do it and walk out. It sucks if they actually were to do it, but like putting that on another human being is the highest, worst form of manipulation. Highest form. You should not let them manipulate you like that. That is never something that I think anybody should hold on their conscience, even if they follow through with it, because that is not your responsibility. It is not your responsibility to stay in an abusive situation with somebody who's willing to manipulate you like that. When he put his hands on me, he actually put his hands around my neck and was choking me, which was what is terrifying. Choking in an abuse situation is the #1 indicator they will kill you. Oh, that actually kind of makes sense. I understand like work being stressful, but I don't think any amount of stress justifies his actions. Even just the jumping on the chair. That's not only mean, but that's like cruel. I think like healthy reactions to stress aren't taught. I think a lot of people are taught by their parents that when they're under stress, the reaction to that is to like be an asshole. When like, don't get me wrong, like I understand being an asshole just because you're like overstimulated, you're stressed, whatever, but it shouldn't be to a cruel extent. And this one was definitely cruel. So a commenter said, I'm glad you left him, but I'm concerned you'll go back based off how this post is written. You are still speaking about him like he's a good husband and you're justifying his behavior. Stop doing that. Make a therapy appointment for yourself. OOP replied saying he's not here to defend himself, so I'm trying to make it as fair as possible for both sides, so he's not made out to be a monster. I have a therapy session booked. I will not be returning to him as he's not someone that I want my son to grow up watching and witness that behavior thinking it's normal. So this commenter said, I think your husband is having a mental breakdown from work and has developed a narcissistic personality disorder, probably from the stress. OOP replied, I was thinking that maybe he was having some kind of mental breakdown and our miscarriage was the final straw. He said that when he stopped at Tesco to get some beers, it was for the both of us so we could drink our sorrows away. I was planning on getting him some help because he clearly needs it. He only acts insane when he's under immense pressure at work, genuinely. When he broke my chair, it was around the time of immense stress at work. But when he put his hands on me, he actually put his hands around my neck and was choking me, which is what is terrifying. I can't look at him the same, so I can't be the one to get him help. I'm looking into full custody and solicitors so that I never have to see him again. I think that's the right move. The comments at least make me feel more comfortable that she's not gonna go back to this man and she's had enough. That's insane. I didn't know that stress could create narcissistic personality disorder, but that actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, now that I think about that, that makes a lot of sense based off of the shit that I've heard from people whose partners get super stressed and then are narcissists. Like, that's fucking crazy. I'm making the connection in my head about like a bunch of different, not only people that I've dated, but also people that like my friends have dated, my siblings have dated, and them having those personality traits. And it's all kind of around like very stressful times. So low key shit. Most personality disorders are caused by trauma, but I kind of don't like stress at work is going to cause a personality disorder unless the work is something extremely traumatic. The trauma from stress, I think, is less like a stab wound and more of like little cuts happening every day. I do think stress can be really impactful, but people brush it off as not actually something impacting them and their life and their personality. Even if the job is low stress, sustained periods of constant stress literally causes brain damage. No, 100%. As much as like stress doesn't go deep, if it's constant enough, it will go deep. It just might take a while. And in a lot of ways, it might be more dangerous because you think you're fine, but realistically, you're pulling out the Jenga pieces and eventually that Jenga tower is gonna fall. OP posted a final update June 2nd, 2025, 5+ weeks later. I'm guessing from the first update, but then 6+ weeks later from the original post. I need to start this off by asking that if anyone takes the time to comment, please do not leave negativity or insults as I'm extremely emotionally vulnerable and I truly feel terrible. When I updated about 5 weeks ago, I didn't think I'd have to make another update, but in short, I'd left my husband and he'd forcibly tried to keep me in the house by putting his hands around my neck. It was really frightening, and in that moment made me feel completely confident in my decision to leave. Since that day, I haven't had any contact with my husband. As I was leaving, he was screaming that he'd K-word himself if I left. It's not the first time he's threatened this in our relationship, but I called his mom once I was in the car to let her know. She said she'd go over to see him, and I didn't hear from her for another week or so. About 2 weeks ago, my husband was found dead in our family home. I'm angry, hurt, devastated, relieved, and most of all, guilty. I feel so guilty that he's dead. This is sad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not diminishing that. Like, suicide of any sorts is always sad, but this is not on you, girl. He made that decision himself. I feel so guilty that he's dead. If I hadn't have left, I'm certain he'd still be alive, but I can't be certain that I would be or that our son would be. I don't know how much sense I'm making. I just know that there were some people worried for mine and my son's safety. Please be kind. Please reach out to loved ones or local services if you're struggling. Damn, bro. Your safety and your son's safety way over this man. I'm sorry that happened. That shouldn't be anything that anyone ever feels like they need to resort to. But when you're using it as a manipulation tactic, I'm sure he wants her to feel guilty and feel like this is her fault. But like, I would just tell her it's really not. It's just really not. OP didn't do anything wrong, and I don't think OP should feel guilty. If she had stayed, he would have killed her and their son before killing himself, most likely. This is probably really fucked up to say, but I'm sure him doing that to himself was gonna happen. It's just who else he took out with him. Like she was saying as well, for anybody who might be like, oh, well, she should have gotten him help. This man strangled her and threatened her. I think she was spot on when she said as soon as that happened, there was no going about getting him the help that he needed because that was no longer OP's place. Yeah, hopefully OP goes to therapy and talks that one out, but I really think the conclusion there is like, you shouldn't feel guilty. I think this was his final power play over her. Oh, 100%. He should have gotten more help. I feel bad he ended his life, but I'm glad OP is safe and her child is safe. This might be really fucked to say, but OP and her child are probably more safe than they would have been if he was alive. I don't know, sue me, but I think that's the truth right there. I don't know who needs to hear this, bro, but if your partner's pulling some shit like that, do not stay with them. Do not stay with them. I hope mother-in-law doesn't blame OP. She probably will. We already read beforehand. Like in this first paragraph, his mom messaged her saying that OP needs to be patient for the husband. Like the mother-in-law is definitely going to take it out on OP. I wonder what our people are saying on the actual post. Do not feel guilty. If you would have stayed, he would have killed you, your son, and then himself, or he would be in jail for killing you. None of these outcomes are good. You did nothing wrong. You need a good therapist and you got loads of stuff to work through. I think that's very spot on. There should never be a reason to feel guilty or bad about somebody passing who tried to strangle you. I know you guys got history, you got a son together, but like that's just unacceptable behavior in any scenario. My brother called me at 2 a.m. in tears, asking if I'd raise his 2-year-old. Now I'm scared. Dads, how do I help him right now? This was originally posted to r/daddit, which I'm guessing is like a dad subreddit of some sorts. And it was originally posted May 19th, 2025. Last week, my older brother rang in the middle of the night. He was crying, like really crying, and asked me to promise I'd look after his little girl if anything ever happened to him. He's always been steady. He sailed through their first kid's newborn chaos. But since the second came along, in parentheses, she's 2 now, something's changed. He spends evenings alone in the driveway, just sitting in the car with the engine off. He moved into the spare room, so I don't keep my wife up. But it feels more like retreat than courtesy. During the day, he texts all good without any unusual signs. I'm scared this is more than normal dad stress. He won't bring it up with his wife, and I don't want to bulldoze him. But I also don't want to wait for another 2 a.m. call. For parents or anyone who's been the worried sibling, what actually helped you when the fear and isolation took over? How do I start the conversation about therapy or support without making him shut down? Any ideas welcome. I just want my brother present and okay for his kids. I don't know what the right answer is here, chat, and maybe you guys will have to let me know. Are interventions still a thing? This is actually a really great question to ask, is like, is there data support that interventions actually help, or are they not actually useful for like getting somebody to open up about a difficult issue? Because like in my experience, whenever you're in a situation like that where there's a bunch of people telling you that you need to fix something, it can sometimes feel like you're being more ganged up on than the people actually want to help you. Is that a thing, or am I making that up? Intervention helped me, but it was like a single trusted person, not a group. Okay, I actually kind of like that. And I feel like out of anybody, a brother is in the right position to be that single trusted person. And it sounds like they have a good relationship. Interventions can work. John Mulaney based his most recent set on the fact that his friends had an intervention for him. I don't think it's the right option here. Yeah, especially with how isolating he is to himself. I don't think that's the right answer, but I think maybe a one-on-one. Yeah, group intervention tends to backfire hard in my experience because it creates a sense of ganging up. I think a lot of you guys are cooking. In a big intervention doesn't make sense, but maybe like a one-on-one conversation that's just like, hey bro, I'm worried about you. Maybe the only other thing I'd recommend is figuring out if there's maybe a way where somebody else can come help with the kids for now and be able to take the brother like out of that situation, keep eyes on him, but then also like, I don't know, just like allow him to be away from the thing that's creating the problem. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he should avoid it forever, but I think you almost need to take a step back to be able to take steps forward in a situation like this. So edit number 1 here. I read every single comment. Thank you. The message is loud and clear. That 2 a.m. call was an SOS, not dad stress. I'm flying out tonight. Waiting for the weekend felt dumb. Plan is simple. Over breakfast, I'm going to ask him straight up, are you thinking about K-wording yourself? If the answer is even close to yes, we'll call 988 or go to a doctor together. Then I'll drag him outside the house to do something he used to love, maybe golf, maybe steakhouse, or a bad action movie, just to let his brain breathe and create rooms for him to open up. At some point, I'll loop his wife in gently so she's not in the dark. Ticket is booked. He thinks I'm in town for work. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for pushing me off the couch. Update number 1, got to his place. He smiled when he opened the door. My tears almost slipped out, but I held it together. Low-key catch up tonight and real talk tomorrow. We'll be back with updates. Update 2 is I flew out and I'm camped on my brother's couch. Big midnight porch confession, debt, depression, the whole lot. If you want the full rundown and some questions I need help with, it's here. Okay, let's click on this link here. Whoa. Okay, wait, this is just the update that we're about to read. So a couple relevant comments here. Here's just a commenter highlighting that PPD is also a thing for dads, which I always forget that's a thing, but yes, 100%. Looks like there was a comment asking OOP if he knows if his brother drinks or not to cope with his depression. OOP replied, it never occurred to me he could be drinking on the side. I'm his sister, so for some reason I thought this was a guy. I'm his sister, so getting a guy's perspective on how men sometimes hide this stuff is really helpful. I'm flying out this weekend, so he's not alone with the spiral. Really appreciate the advice. Do you think he will be honest with me if I ask him about the drinking issue? Commenter 3 said, is the second kid his? I'd wonder if he found something out that made him separate from his wife intentionally since the birth. OOP, I did not think of that. He did ask me to take care of his little one, second kid. My assumption is that's unlikely, but there's definitely some issue with their relationship. This is a comment encouraging OOP to help look into getting therapy for her brother. OOP responded, he's pretty therapy shy, so I'm looking for softer on-ramps. Maybe a standing coffee walk with a dad buddy, or maybe there's an app with check-ins like Not Okay. Anything that feels like hanging out rather than sitting on a couch in the therapist's office. If you got other low-key ideas, I'm all ears. This is a comment saying OOP needs to follow her gut feelings from that 2 a.m. phone call, likely the call for help. OOP said, my inner voice was telling me that this is not the typical thing. Thank you for the validation. I'm booking the ticket now. First off, what a great fucking sister. This is some shit my sisters would do for me. I'm loving this. Not the situation, but the sister being an awesome sister. I'm kind of getting that vibe too, where he doesn't want like a full-on therapist, but he definitely needs someone to talk to about this. Is there anything else? I've actually never even heard of the app that they recommended. Are the kids why he's withdrawing though, or something else going on here? I think that's the problem, Irisbear, is we need to figure that out before we can take next steps. It's just, who is he going to open up with to share what is going on here that is resulting in him feeling like that? We did get a little bit of information though. There's some debt. The brother definitely deals with depression, so I'm guessing the update will kind of clarify a lot. Update number 1, May 22nd, 2025, 3 days later. Last night we wound up on his back porch around midnight, baby monitor humming between us. It was quiet for a long stretch, then he started talking and the words poured out. Pretty soon we were both wiping our eyes. He's embarrassed I flew across the country to babysit him, but even more scared about what would happen to his kids if he ever hit the point of no return. His business is buried in debt and a few clients still haven't paid, so every bill feels like a gut punch. Home is tense too. He took clients to a strip club on a work trip, told his wife right away so there were no secrets, tried to be close later, and she pulled back. He says that felt like the biggest humiliation of his life, and now he freezes whenever things might turn intimate. Back in February, he went to his PCP because he couldn't sleep. The doctor ran a quick screen, called it severe depression, and put him on meds. He didn't tell anyone because talking to a stranger won't fix it, and he figured he could muscle through. Meanwhile, he feels responsible for his wife, the kids, our parents, even me. At one point, he said, "I can't breathe. The only thing that yanks him out of dark thoughts is his toddler's face in the morning." I pulled out my phone and showed him this Reddit thread, thousands of strangers pacing over his 2 a.m. call. He shakes his head and laughs. "I feel bad stressing you out. Now the whole internet's sweating over me." A bit of the weight slid off right there. Then I reminded him how many times I drafted him as my bodyguard while growing up, chasing off boys I didn't like and listening to me cry when the ones I liked didn't like me back. We cracked up at how he's been my unofficial relationship therapist forever while insisting he's bad at feelings. That laugh felt good, but one porch talk isn't a cure. So here's my ask. Therapy adverse dads or moms who finally went, what flipped the switch for you? Question 2, depression survivors. What was the very first step that gave you air? Question 3, 2 a.m. panic veterans. When you can't call anyone, what kept you from tipping over? Short answers, long stories, whatever helps. This sub already got me on a plane. Maybe you'll get him to real daylight. Okay, I actually don't know the answers to these questions because I feel like they're not really questions that I've had experience with, but at least with the wife, I think the answer here is some sort of couples therapy if possible, which is tough since money is tight. I mean, that just sucks, man, when clients aren't paying you. That's a shitty situation to be in general. Like, as a fellow business owner, the only thing that you can hope for is you have good contracts and good lawyers to maybe push for that. But I also just think it's very risky taking on business where they don't pay you initially up front, like not even half. That's always dangerous, to say the least. Relevant comments here. Commenter 1, not directly what you asked about, but if he has clients that aren't paying, assuming he's a contractor or freelancer and he has some documentation, he can absolutely take them to small claims court over it. I have an acquaintance who did this. He was getting stiffed by 2 clients, a small business and another mid-sized local business, and he sent them notice they were late and that he'd be taking them to court in 7 days. One paid up immediately on the threat, the other didn't. He represented himself in small claims court. The judge found in his favor. End of story. Obviously, this might feel like an extra thing to take on, and he'd need to do some research, but it could help relieve some financial stress. Small claims court is underrated. You can even sue large companies there in some cases. Didn't know that. Commenter 2, I was therapy adverse. I realized that I don't go for me, I go for my kid. I want to be better and have a better grasp on issues so I can model it for my kids. I want a healthy relationship with boundaries, self-image, money, etc. Because my folks didn't, and I see all that in me. I want to stamp it out at me. It ends with my generation. Tell your brother if his toddler's face is the only thing that pulls him out of the dark, make it so that the dark disappears as much as it can and the burden isn't on his kid. It's not his kid's job to get him through, it's his job. Talking is helpful. Have him talk to his wife more about what happened and how he feels about how she treated him. But also important note, make sure that the wife communicates how that affected her. Because high key, I think he's more in the wrong there. Me personally, I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm going to strip clubs and my girlfriend's okay with it and vice versa. Like, I just don't think that's anything that a relationship needs. But I know there are some relationships like that. If you're gonna go to a strip club, you need to call your wife before you do it. Even if you're taking clients. You know what I'm saying? Also, what kind of clients are you taking where, like, to close business, you have to take them to a strip club? That sounds like not a fun business to be in at all. Commenter 3, I'm a dad, physician, and therapist activist. I know it may feel like talking to a stranger because that's what it is in the beginning. A few things to understand. You have to find the right person for you. I realized that I would prefer a male after seeing 2 women because they'd relate better to me. Then I'd realize I'd prefer a younger male over an older male. Then a colored male over a white male. Eventually, it just clicked, and it becomes a feeling of, wow, this person gets me. Then this person gets to know you and can allow you to view these issues in a different light, ask you questions that maybe you haven't thought about, and, most importantly, give the tools to help process and heal the thoughts you may have. You are making really good progress. I commend your commitment and love for your brother. I wish more of my patients had that support system. Continue what you're doing, continue showing up, and continue recommending he find the right therapist for him. Healing your mental health takes work. It's not an easy fix, and it takes time. I think I like the most what they said about, like, hey, bro, if he is already saying that the thing that keeps him going is his son, that is a good lever to pull when it comes to convincing him to get help for himself. Not only, hey, your son needs you and, like, depends on you, so you need to be the best version of yourself, but also I really like if your son has depression, you want to be able to tell your child that you were able to put in the work into yourself to overcome that, and you have the tools and capabilities to show them and give them the support that they might need in that scenario as well. That just sounds like a superpower right there. Update number 2, May 26th, 2025. 4 days later. Last night we read all 700 plus replies together. Each line felt like someone further up the trail flashing a light back toward us. He set the phone down, shook his head, and asked me to pass along what landed, his lines and my narration around them. I'm guessing that's like a more flowy way to read this part. 1. How did we all miss the sirens? Thread after thread told the same gut punch story. Brothers cracking jokes at dinner, FaceTiming goodnights, and then gone. Some waved flags, goodbye texts, sudden giveaways. Others wore flawless masks. Meds skipped, plans canceled, eyes smiling but empty. My brother's takeaway. Stop betting on maybe tomorrow, ask the blunt question, knock anyway, fire off the midnight check-in. OP's takeaway. Show up first, hope later. Drag them to the doctor today, not when the calendar clears. One knock at the right moment can keep a life from swinging shut. Second takeaway. Therapy. Jack, not tow truck. He dodged therapy for years. Real men fix flats alone. Then one analogy finally landed. The brother's takeaway. If you won't grab a tool for yourself, grab it so your kids don't grow up thinking silence is strength. OP's takeaway. Therapy isn't a rescue crew. It lifts the frame you can work. If the first jack slips, swap it and keep going. Takeaway number 3. Depression never really moves out. We finally admitted it. Depression doesn't pack its bags. Most of us just learn to walk with a limp while acting like everything's fine. Relief looks different for everyone. Weights, riffs, sketchbooks, meds, CBT drills, but even the best routine collapses when you're alone and the limp turns to sludge. Action beats rumination, ping a friend, walk a block, book the labs, anything. My brother's takeaway. Depression wins if I freeze alone. Any emotion with people, lifting, riffing, walking, talking, pumps oxygen back into the day. OP's takeaway, normalize the limp. Keep nudging toward motion and never let anyone walk that limp alone. Takeaway 4, the 2 a.m. kill zone. That's when the brain rips off its daytime mask and insists the only exit is to stop breathing. 2 refrains echo, I wish he'd called, and I had no one to dial. We're never truly islands. Even a loner rock has fish swirling underneath, so reach out when you can't pull yourself back. Brother's takeaway, when tunnel vision hits, a live voice is the crowbar that pries the door back open. OP's takeaway, build failsafes before the kill zone. Keep numbers pinned, plans primed, and remember, if you can't calm your own storm, send a signal. Someone's awake and willing to steer you till morning. Why OP's writing and staying? I'm typing parts of this in tears because the reality of almost losing my brother finally sank in. Humanity is rare on the internet, but this thread flooded us with it. If these words keep even one more family from that edge, sharing them is a must. No one should die of lonely suffering. Even a lone island isn't truly alone. Life teems beneath the surface. Let's prove that to anyone who feels stranded. What we still need, add your piece. I'm still wiping tears because if I hadn't acted on what the dads and moms here shared, I might be planning my brother's funeral right now. Your advice saved him, so I'm leaning on it again. If you're still in the thick of it, what's weighing on you right now? Money, panic, med roulette, zero support circle, name it so we all can see it. If you've made it to steady your ground, what do you wish you'd done sooner or wish existed when things were darkest? What's actually helped you fight back? A habit, a line, a resource. Share the thing that really moved the needle. Everything you offer will go into a living guide we can all lean on. One late night thread kept my brother here. Together we can keep the next family whole. This commenter said he has to fix his business. For small business owners, mental health and the business performance are impossible to separate. He can't do it alone, just like therapy. He needs to bring in someone that can shine a light where it needs to be. That's not weakness. That's just being smart and using someone else's skill set. As a small business owner, yes, 100%. My mental health is always the worst when my business isn't doing well or when there's like a major problem with my business. Being financially stable is like kind of a number one thing for me, and prioritizing that and taking the measures that I need to do that just in case something does happen. That is something that I like keep in mind at all times when I make decisions, and that has helped my mental health immensely. So like, yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people that own their own businesses tie the worth that they feel in themselves to that business. Like, I know when my business isn't doing so hot, I feel bad about myself because it directly correlates to me, and that's something that I work on. I'm sure this guy is feeling the exact same thing. I really wish these comments had included like some people's answers to these, because I'm actually genuinely curious. I do want to see if anybody left any like recommendations. Okay, so this person dropped a video. Oh, it's in the post, it said this WHO video helped. I thought they meant the band, but it's a World Health Organization video. This person linked a WHO video that helped them. So did a following bit in Hugh Laurie's 2016 NPR video, which I'm not going to deep dive in, but they did include some dialogue from it. Simon, in interviews, I'd heard you spoken openly about depression. Laurie responded, yes, I have. He said cheerily, laughter. Simon, laughter. Is that an ongoing factor? Challenge even in your life? Laurie replied, well, yes, as it is in so many people's lives. I recognize the onset earlier than I might otherwise have done 20 years ago and take steps accordingly to try and have, or at least, if not take steps to avoid it, at least not be panicked by it. Not at least to be cast down by it, but simply to ride it out and just simply think this is what it is. This is happening to me now, and tomorrow might look different or it might not. But one day soon I will wake up and feel better, as I might feel better from, you know, a bout of the flu. Okay, that's an interesting perspective I've never heard before. Comparing it to like a bodily sickness like the flu. This commenter said, I've done a lot of therapy over the years, and a few things that have helped me, I could probably reduce to some mantras / sayings. So maybe they will help. First saying, you call a bag of shit, not a bag of crap. Teacher taught me this, basically saying you need to be real and honest about where and how things suck to be able to address it for real. Don't downplay it. Call it what it is so you know what it is that you want to fix or change. Okay, don't sugarcoat it. I like that. Second saying, it took a while to get here, so it will also take a while to get out. Everything happens slowly to get where you are, so don't expect everything to change overnight through one talk or one good moment. You build a wall one brick at a time, but each brick matters. Each little thing you do builds towards something bigger. Okay, I like that too. That's my philosophy on every life thing, is like TikTok and all these platforms teach us like short-term gratification, but like the real important gratification in life does not come short-term. It's always long-term, and it always takes a lot of effort. And like the other part of this metaphor is that sometimes you'll put a brick down, but it'll be the wrong brick, or like the brick will be broken and you have to take it out and put in effort to fix the brick again. Like, it's never smoothly building that brick wall, but it's just always trying to build it. Last saying, go where you've celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Meaning, if your community is bringing you down or is negative, leave. Get around people who see how hard this is for you, but also celebrate wins with you, or help support you to get solutions or find more help. If it's church, a sports league, therapy group, etc., get connected. Okay, I really like that one. I think one of the worst things you can do in scenarios like this is isolate yourself. So this is very underrated and awesome advice. Am I the a-hole for disinviting a coworker for perpetually spoiling things? This was posted in r/am I the asshole, originally posted May 10th, 2021. Almost every Friday, my coworkers and I will go out and get drinks and socialize. More often than not, it's an open invitation for the entire office, and even people outside of our team will join. We typically have a great time, but only when Logan, 20s male, doesn't show up. Logan means well, but is easily excitable and engages people in conversations they're not interested in. The worst of this behavior has to do with spoiling movies, shows, games, etc. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that I had tickets to see the new Mortal Kombat movie over the weekend. Logan lit up and immediately responded, you'll love the scene where spoiler happens and when spoiler shows up. I was bummed and walked away without continuing the conversation. Don't get me wrong, I think at the ripe age of 20s, you should know not to spoil shit for people. That being said, I just went on a rant before I started reading about how stupid people can be. And sometimes, y'all, you gotta lead the horse to water. I get it, he shouldn't be doing this, but also, if you're doing something and you just keep doing that thing and no one corrects you, you're probably just gonna keep doing that thing. So like, don't get me wrong, he's probably been corrected multiple times, but like, if you're gonna complain about it to me, at least tell me that you did everything you could to mitigate it and that person is just fucking disrespectful and stupid. Later that same night, Amy, another coworker, was discussing a TV show she was a few episodes behind in. Logan blurts out, I can't believe that beloved character dies in episode whatever number. Amy, who had obviously not yet watched it, went silent and turned away. Logan laughed and said, I just can't help it. I get too excited. None of us were amused. I mean, bro, why don't y'all gang up on him? Just be like, bro, stop spoiling shit. A few days later in our team-only group chat, someone brought up Logan's tendency to spoil things and admitted that they wished he weren't invited to outings because of it. Multiple people agreed and began to list everything Logan had spoiled for them. With this in mind, I didn't add Logan to the email invite for the next week's hangout. He noticed he never got an invite and began to ask around. As I was the one who'd written the email, he was eventually directed to me. He pulled me aside as I left for lunch and let me know I excluded him by mistake. Rather than try and play it off, I just told him the truth, that the fact he spoils everything is obnoxious and rude. I told him that joining conversations just to spoil things is bad enough, but he also starts conversations with spoilers. Logan was immediately defensive, claiming it's not his fault we're slow to watch, play, etc. There's the call out he needs, and there's the douchebag. And that he's just making conversation. I told him that if he swore that he'd be more conscious about this habit, that he could join us that Friday. He came and, lo and behold, spoiled the plot of a movie I wanted to see in theaters. Out of frustration, I called him a dick and told him that this is exactly why no one socializes with him. He left soon after, and even though I said what everyone was thinking, I felt like an asshole. Am I the a-hole? No, I mean, after all that context, like, you told him what the problem was and said, fix that problem, and we will let you hang out with us, which also, it's not like we're obligated to invite you. We're all in our 20s and adults. If we don't fuck with you, you're not invited. And then when he still kept doing that thing, you called him a dick and told him exactly why he wasn't invited, and then he left like a little baby. That's not being an asshole. That's holding someone accountable for what they're doing. And OP gave them a chance to correct his behavior. He didn't, and then went nuclear. To me, not the a-hole. Edit 1, a few weeks ago, we had lunch catered and all joined in the break room. A coworker had brought a book to read during lunch, and Logan saw the cover, pulled up the Wikipedia, and read the entire synopsis aloud, including the big twist ending. I asked him why he would do that, and he responded, why not? And then edit 2 was The Book Was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Damn, what a fucking dickhead. Okay, so it sounds like he's doing all of this intentionally. Maybe if he was doing this on accident or something like that, then fine, but still, even if he is doing it on accident, you're not obligated to invite him. This isn't like a company event. This is them going out and socializing after work later in the day, a group that's like invited. Yeah, I'm gonna go with not the a-hole on that one. And also if he's just doing it intentionally, like, fuck him. You know? Hey man, you are a grown ass age. You deserve grown ass consequences. And one of those consequences are, if nobody likes to hang out with you, nobody is going to hang out with you. This is the kind of thing I used to do when I was 8. Bro's been told at this point he should know to shut the fuck up, not the a-hole. Dude's a grown man. If they had gone through the entire thing and not told him what he was doing wrong, then maybe I would be like, you know what? You're a little bit of the a-hole. But if you've told this man and he continues to do it, it's like, if you keep punching my arm and I don't like it and I decide to not hang out with you anymore because you're punching my arm, that is a you problem. Same thing here. So there's a downvoted commenter who said, everyone sucks here. Logan sucks for spoiling shit, sure, but you and your coworkers suck for handling it in an extremely passive-aggressive way. Okay, maybe at the beginning, because that's exactly what I said at the beginning, but towards the end, like, they were not passive-aggressive about it. They were pretty fucking actively aggressive about it. OP responded, we've explained to him before that spoilers aren't cool and that we don't appreciate them. The reason we started turning away and ending conversations abruptly is because if you don't, he'll just keep talking. For example, he spoiled Tenet as a conversation opener and proceeded to loudly explain the science of the movie for the next 10 minutes, despite being asked to stop. Okay, there is a comment about maybe Logan being autistic. I don't think I said it, but I was a little bit thinking about it, which even if he is, that's still not okay. Like, it's an explanation, but it's not an excuse. I appreciate your response. I agree that Logan may be autistic and that, if so, we ought to be more patient with this. However, we've told him many times before that we don't appreciate spoilers, that we don't want to talk about movies / shows / games with him, and that we will be upset by having plots ruined. Do you think it would be advantageous to further explain why we get upset about spoilers? No, because honestly, y'all, do you want a friend? And listen, like, I get it. It's harder. And like, Logan would probably, I don't know. I guess I'm not that interested in media. Like, if there's something I genuinely care about, I guess I don't want it to be spoiled. But like, most of the time, I really don't care about spoilers. I'd say about 95% of the time. So maybe for someone like me, he'd be a good friend. But like, if this genuinely upsets you, like, you don't want to have to lay everything everything out for your friend. Like, it's just easier to go and find a different friend, or in this case, not invite him. I appreciate if somebody like tries to give someone patience, but patience isn't owed. I think patience is given if it makes sense, but like, you can't be endlessly patient with someone who consistently stomps on your boundaries unless they're making a specific effort to get better at not stomping on your boundaries. Someone asked how long Logan has been doing this. For the sake of brevity, I didn't put much in the post, but Logan has been doing this for years. Back in 2019, he came into work and greeted me by spoiling the ending of Game of Thrones. For the sake of chat, I will not click on this. I have not seen a single episode of Game of Thrones. I've never given into the peer pressure. Not once. Update May 15th, 2021, 5 days later. Your responses had me curious, so I tested something out. Last night, our office went out for drinks again, and Logan showed up. At one point, when I knew he was listening, I mentioned a movie I really wanted to see. I gave the title and named some actors that were in it and left it at that. Logan didn't say anything immediately, but pulled out his phone a few minutes later. The rest of the night went smoothly until I was about to head home. Logan flagged me down and asked me to repeat the movie title I'd mentioned. I repeated the title I'd given earlier, and Logan got upset. He told me that movie didn't exist. He's right. I made it up. He called me annoying and a killjoy and said spoilers shouldn't matter if you're just going to watch something anyway. So wait, this fucking man-child is going out of his way to spoil the movie? Like, this is a fucking hobby for this guy. He's like, you know how I'm gonna pass the time? Be a fucking dickhead to my coworkers and then complain about it when they stop inviting me to shit. I'm gonna say it, y'all. The conservatories are gonna catch a stray here, but that's a Republican mindset right there. Y'all, I'm just gonna keep talking shit about Republicans until they all stop watching my videos. No Republicans get to enjoy my videos. Y'all are trash. Leave. You're not welcome. He told me to get over the fact that he likes sharing major plot points and claimed I ruined his night. No, bro, she exposed you for being a fucking dickhead. And so, as many of you concluded, Logan is just a jerk who enjoys spoiling things. Part of me hopes he spent his entire evening searching for a movie that doesn't exist. Part of me feels bad that he feels that's something he needs to do for whatever reason. Pulling a prank on him might make me kind of an asshole too, but to be honest, I think it was worth it. Nah, bro. No matter what level of assholery you pull on him, it's reactive assholery. He's doing active assholery. Assholery probably isn't a word, but I'm gonna keep saying it because it fits. He literally goes out of his way to be a dickhead to you, and you're being a dickhead because you want to test if he's trying to be a dickhead, which confirmed, bro is a fucking asshole. Yeah, honestly, OP needs to spread this around the office and make sure that nobody hangs out with this dude so that he quits his job. Honestly, y'all, is this like maybe an OCD thing? Does that make sense, or am I stretching? Like, it almost sounds like he feels like he has to spoil a movie for somebody. Like, it sounds like this is something he needs to do. Yeah, he might need therapy for this. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think this is like just something he feels the need to do because he likes being a dick. I feel like this could be like a mental issue that he has. But I mean, you've got to think he either recognizes or doesn't recognize that this is like an asshole thing to do, right? As someone with OCD, it's not an OCD thing. I know they're different, but still it's a control thing. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Am I the a-hole for taking the only 2-seat table in the restaurant all to myself? Originally posted to r/am I the a-hole on May 16th, 2022. I, 35 female, have given up on dating, but still enjoy date activities. So once a month, I take myself out on a date. I go out to the movies, museums, and even mini golf by myself. And I always treat myself to a nice lunch/dinner around 3 to 4 p.m. after the lunch rush, but before the dinner rush, so that I have plenty of time to enjoy my food. For my self dates, I always look for a new restaurant to try. Saturday, I found this great little Mediterranean place. It's a real gem, hidden away at the end of a strip mall with murals on the walls, lovely guitar music, and only about 7 tables total. When I got there, only one other table was occupied, and I sat in the only 2-seater table. The waiter got me my drink, and I had just put in my order when a couple walked in. They looked around the small restaurant, saw me at the only 2-seat table, and approached the waiter. I was on my Kindle and not paying attention until I heard the waiter say, "There are plenty of other tables." They argued for another minute before I heard the man say, "She won't take that long to eat. She's all alone." The woman huffed, and they sat at the 4-seat table right next to me. They ordered waters and loudly said that they were still deciding what they wanted, but were clearly stalling because she looked right at me as she said it. I chose to ignore it. When I treat myself to self-dates, I go all out and order an appetizer, soup/salad, and entree. My appetizer came out and I clearly heard the man say, "See, it's just a small meal. She'll be gone soon." I didn't say anything and just enjoyed my food. When I finished, the woman grabbed her purse like she was going to dash to my table before anyone else came in, only for the waiter to bring out my soup. I took my time eating the soup as the waiter, again, asked the couple if they were ready to order. The woman said they're still deciding and needed water refills. Then my entree came out. As soon as they saw it, the woman said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" The food was amazing, and even though I knew they were waiting for my table, I took my time appreciating my meal. Halfway through, the waiter again asked them if they were ready. The man said he was starving and ordered. The woman was clearly not happy, but also ordered. I was tempted to order dessert too, but I was stuffed. I paid my check, and as I was leaving, I saw the couple moving their plates over to my table, which hadn't been cleared off yet. At the time, I thought it was hilarious, but when I told my friends about it, they said I had been an a-hole. They said restaurants like that were for couples on dates, not single people, and that it wouldn't have been a big deal for me to move or gotten takeaway and eaten at home. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you need to be in a relationship with somebody to go out and have dinner? This either is a fake story or OP has some shit friends. I said it was 4 p.m., not prime date time, and that there were 5 other tables to pick from, but they said I'd taken the most romantic table and ruined their date for my own enjoyment. Now I'm not sure, and I'm asking the internet for an impartial judgment. Yeah, my impartial judgment is your friends suck. OP is a much nicer person than I am, because I would have been a fucking dickhead. I would have been like, you know what? Today's a great day as ever just to fucking prop the legs up on the table. You know what? I feel like staying at this table all day. Let's order more food. I'm not gonna eat it. I'll probably just take it in to-go box, but I got my Kindle. I got my phone. I'm gonna sit here. I got nowhere to be. This is my spot, bitch. Like, I would have been immature as fuck, all right? That's just how it would have been. I would have been an immature asshole. OP, much nicer person than me. Also, like, it must be such a blissful experience to be so fucking stupid that the #1 problem that you gotta deal with is that you didn't get a 2-person table and now have to sit at a 4-person table. Are you fucking kidding me? If that's your biggest problem in life and that's what really grinds your gears, go to therapy and please read a book. If you're getting angry about not getting a 2-person table, you need to touch some grass, because holy fuck are there way more things to be mad at in this world. I wish I was stupid enough to get mad at someone sitting at a 2-seater table, bro. My life would be so much better. I would be immensely happier if I was as ignorant and as dumb as that woman. It really wasn't the dude. The dude was like, who fucking cares? It was literally that woman who was just like, I need my fucking table. What a rat, bro. Republican activity? Listen, all I'm saying is you'd never see a Democrat pulling that shit. It's like a Republican Karen straight out of Florida. That's the type of person who's pulling shit like this. We do have a couple of relevant comments here. This commenter is hating on the friends, which I don't blame them. And OP said, the friends who told me I'm the a-hole are all in relationships and think that my self-dates are weird. Girl, those sound like asshole friends, bro. What do you mean she can't go on a date and treat herself? Like, they're all probably in relationships that they fucking hate, and yet they're getting mad at OP for being single and happy spending time with herself. Like, let's be so fucking for real. This is just OP saying that they would have moved if the couple would have just asked, which, very nice. Update June 20th, 2022, 1 month later. Just wanted to give my thanks to all of you who left such lovely responses to my original post. I did end up forwarding it to my friends, and most of them read it and apologized to me. I know a lot of people said that my friends were terrible, but I think they really were just blinded by internalized societal standards for women. They've all said they'll back off on trying to get me to date, and I may have even converted one of them to my way of self-dates. My friend, 37 female, recently went through a divorce and is having a terrible time dating again. She was hesitant to go out by herself like I do, so we did a kind of compromise. We drove separately to a Japanese garden she'd been wanting to visit, but that her husband never wanted to go to. We met up outside, but went in separately. I wandered around the gardens and she went to a tea ceremony there by herself, so I was still close by in case she got too nervous. Afterwards, we went to a restaurant from the original post. This time, the tables were configured so that there were several 2-top tables and there was no sign of the couple from the original post. Again, we went in separately and I went in first with my friend, waiting 5 minutes before coming in. I told my friend beforehand that she could either sit by herself and we could pretend we don't know each other, or if she was too nervous, she could just join me at my table. We both sat at separate tables and had a lovely time reading our books, enjoying the food, and occasionally sneaking glances at each other like little kids with a secret. The food was just as good as the first time, and I only ate half of my entree this time, so I had room for dessert. The baklava was just as good as the other food, made with pistachio and walnut with real honey and rose water. My friend had a blast and is now planning her own solo outings to place and restaurants she always wanted to try. At least it ended positively. And the friends realized that they're a bunch of fucking dickheads. And there's a friend who is enjoying the single outings. Honestly, y'all, I need to get better at shit like this. I get scared, y'all. This kind of inspires me low-key, though. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my stepson and ruining his wedding? This story has a new update, was originally posted in r/am I the a-hole on April 18th, 2025. For context, I've been married to my husband for just over 20 years. We started dating when my stepkids were 5 and 3. Our kids are Adam, 28, stepkid number 1, Ben, 26, stepkid number 2, Charles, 20, David, 17, and Ellie, 13. So I'm guessing the last 3 kids are their children. Adam is getting married at the end of the summer to his fiance, Alice, 27. We have all been very excited for them. All of the kids have roles for the wedding. Charles is the best man, the other 2 boys are groomsmen, and Ellie is a junior bridesmaid. Last weekend, we had a dinner for my husband's birthday. All of the kids attended along with Alice. The topic of the wedding came up again, and this is where it started to go downhill. Ellie brought up that she was so excited to go dress shopping and that we plan to go to a bigger city in a few weeks to get her a dress and me a stepmom of the groom dress. At that, Alice looked at Adam sideways and responded that we had only needed to worry about one dress. Ellie kind of laughed and said, "What are you expecting mom to wear? A suit?" Alice responded with, "OP isn't going. You know we are keeping our guest list very limited to only family and a few close friends." What? Adam and Alice have been to our house numerous times for the holidays, dinners, just to say hi since they've been engaged. This has never been brought up. Okay, unless Adam and or Alice have insane beef with OP that they're just choosing to leave out, which I feel like isn't the case, OP should definitely be getting an invite to this wedding. That's crazy. Also, I guess too, the important context is what happened to Adam's mom, I guess is a good question, but either way, I feel like you still invite the stepmom that's been around since you were 5 for literally 22 years. That's crazy. Pretty quickly, things escalated. The Cliff Notes version is that Charles asked them to clarify if they were choosing to uninvite me now or if I was never invited. Alice confirmed the latter. Why? Adam said it's because I'm not his mom. Charles, David, and Ellie argued with Adam and Alice that none of them were going to go if I wasn't invited, that it was cruel to leave me out given I've been his parent for a majority of his life and loved him like my own. My husband and I admittedly sat there for a minute just fucking shocked. Yeah, bro, I want to know what the husband's saying. Like, the husband better fucking nut up and be like, "You are a shit son." Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if OP has done something wrong to Adam, I'll fucking switch up so fast. I'll flip on it like that. Clearly, all the siblings love OP. So I'm assuming that Adam has no reason to also not love OP and not have her at his wedding. Adam finally turned to my husband and said, "Well?" My husband told him he wouldn't be going either. Adam then turned to me and asked if I was really going to let everyone ruin his wedding on my behalf. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I just laughed. I don't know what came over me, but the entire thing was just so ridiculous that laughing was the only thing I could get out. I told my husband I'd be waiting in the car and left, and then promptly bawled my eyes out. Anyways, Charles, David, and Ellie are not talking to Adam. Adam called my husband yesterday to try and smooth things over. He was still adamant I'm not invited and it's their wedding. He also requested I apologize for laughing at him. Dude, you are like literally telling someone who I'm guessing, and granted, I guess I don't have all the context, but at least the way the story's reading to me, OP has been nothing but a mom to this kid. It also doesn't sound like his biological mom is in the picture for whatever reason. So like the fact that you wouldn't invite OP is fishy. I'm more on OP's side. My husband told him tough shit. It's their wedding and they can invite whoever they want, but they can't control who will actually go. He said they owe me an apology and that Adam should be ashamed of himself. I'm getting texts now asking what the fuck I did and why I'm being a step monster and ruining the wedding. Listen, I've always said it in my videos, like, your wedding, do whatever you want. I guess at the end of the day, it's his wedding. Who he wants going to the wedding is up to them. But like exactly what he said, if you're gonna have a ridiculous rule at your wedding, like if you want all of your wedding guests to come dressed up in clown costumes, don't get me wrong, that's your right because it's your wedding, but expect a lot of people to say, fuck that, I'm not going to your wedding. I think this is a similar situation where like, yeah, sure, sure, this is your wedding. You have who you want there. But if you don't have a very good reason for not inviting OP other than she's not my real mom, if your family says, nah, bro, that's fucked up. Fuck you. We're not going. Hey, bro, here's the bed. You made it. Fucking sleep in it. That's the way I see it. That is diabolical, chat. And to blindside her at a family dinner, not even give her like a good reason. Like, that's what I want to know, chat. Like, what is the reasoning here? I low key, because Alice is the one that presented it, I wonder if it has more to do with Alice than with Adam. That's my bold prediction, chat. I bet birth mom came back. It was kind of interesting how the birth mom wasn't mentioned. I will say that. Some of OP's comments, a commenter asked, I feel like there's a lot missing here. You've been married to his dad since he was 8. That was years of elementary, middle, high school, college, 20 years. Is his mother living? Did his fiance influence him? Just seems odd to not invite his dad's wife of 20 years and call her not family. I don't think you're the a-hole, but I just want to know more about the past 20 years. OOP replied, I am sorry, I had to cut out a lot for the character count to post. When Adam called, my husband did ask him if I had done anything, if it was related to Biomom. She has never gotten along with us. If I had overstepped in any way. Adam says no. It's just they want family only. Stepdad is invited as far as we know. Huh. That's inconsistent. So if the stepmom isn't invited, but the stepdad is, then you're just a dirty fucking liar. I was a stay-at-home mom for most of my stepkid's childhood, and we had 50-50. My husband has always worked a lot, but has been as involved as possible. The house and child rearing mostly fell to me, though. I love our kids to pieces. I thought we had made it clear from the beginning that I am/was another parent that loves them, not a replacement mom. We've never had any issues, and I thought up until now that we were particularly close. Our communication has slowed since he met Alice, but he was calling me about once or twice a week prior to this. Okay. Our communication slowed since he met Alice. I'm calling it right now. Alice is the fucking problem. Alice and I have gone shopping on occasion, gotten lunch. I even went with her to the florist for the wedding because her mom wasn't available and Adam got called into work. There has to be something/someone causing an issue, and my husband and I are baffled. Commenter asked, is his mom invited? OOP, yes, as far as we've heard, stepdad is also invited. We, my husband and I, have never gotten along with mom, but still play nice as we still have 50-50 custody of younger stepson, Ben. Adam and his mom had a falling out a few years ago as she was starting to treat him the way she's always treated my husband and I. That is, poorly. I don't know how to nicely explain other than she's a narcissist. Adam hasn't wanted to talk about it much and we won't push it. I know they talk and visit still, but how close they are, I have no idea. Well, if she's a narcissist, she's probably low-key manipulative. So I also think it could be the bio mom too. A comment asked from that response about custody of Ben. OP clarified that Ben is disabled. He can choose where he's staying as he likes, but mostly sticks to a 50-50 schedule still unless there's a family event or vacation. He's pretty independent, but not able to live on his own. Guardianship is probably a better word for what we have now instead of custody. OOP said it's probably also relevant, but my husband's parents are long since deceased. My parents, dad, stepmom, and mom, have been very involved with all the kids since they were little. They are also not going, since if I am not family, they aren't either. My brother and sister-in-law, their daughter, my cousin, they'll call him uncle, and several of my other family members that have been around since stepkids were little have also dropped. They are up to like 20 people that have rescinded their yes RSVP for a wedding of maybe 60 people. Wait, so you had invited your stepmom's parents and siblings, but your stepmom isn't invited? This sounds so fishy. There has to be something else going on right now, because that's fucking wild. That makes the least amount of sense to me, I think, out of anything. This is a commenter basically saying exactly what I said. At the end here, though, they do say Charles is now supposed to meet Adam for coffee over the weekend. I've warned him that truly I don't think it's coming from Adam and to try to be calm about it. Fuck, which one's Charles again? Charles is the 20-year-old. Okay. Here's another commenter asking for more info. OOP made a long paragraph, so I'm gonna read it. I thought we were particularly close besides the normal teenager. I don't have to listen to you. BS phase, we have never fought. We've always had him and Ben 50-50 as a teen and on. He's butted heads with his mother. There have been times over the years where Adam had come to my husband and I and asked questions from things his mom has said, but we've always been forthcoming with info. Example of that is that his mom called me a homewrecker. This upset Adam. Adam came pissed at us. Explained that no, bio mom and dad were long since broken up, and mom even had a fiance who is not the current stepdad, by the way. When I met dad, pulled receipts. Adam upset with mom. Blew over and on to the next thing. Okay, so sounds like bio mom's a dirty fucking liar. We hate it. We still deal with the bio mom though, and I do have a hard time believing she'd pull something at this point. Alice and I aren't super close, but I thought I had a good relationship. I'd always try to include her. Sometimes she takes up my offer and sometimes she doesn't. I know she sees bio mom quite a bit, and that side of Adam's family too. She was raised by her grandparents and does not talk about bio parents often. Giant paragraph here labeled more info on everyone's relationships. It was hard to include every bit of context in the post because of the character limit, but I quit my job when Charles was 6 months old. Adam would have been 8, almost 9. No affair. I met my husband when he'd been divorced for over a year. Bio mom was engaged to someone else. If you ask their bio mom, she'll say I've always overstepped. If you ask her how, she'll give examples like, I went to school events, so did stepdad. I helped with homework. I spent too much time with them. She would thank me for loving her kids so much, and then turn around and berate my husband for me loving kids that aren't hers too much. Another example is that in the beginning, she wanted to communicate with me directly more. She said she loved the communication and that I was easier to deal with than my husband. Next argument with my husband, she brought up that I was weird and too involved, and she shouldn't have to talk to me whatsoever. I haven't talked to her since. Periodically, she has brought up that I was easier to talk to, and she doesn't understand why communication just has to go through my husband. After several years of trying to appease her, we quit to just focus on keeping our family happy and supported. It's been 23 years now of dealing with her. I've been to therapy multiple times to resolve whatever issues she says I have. It did help with strategies to deal with her. Truly, it's just that she has mental issues. Their dad did work a lot. He has always been on nights. It's changed slightly over the years, but we had stepkids Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every other Monday. His days off have always fell over those days so he can spend the max amount of time with them, but usually he worked 1 to 2 of those nights. Very rarely would he work OT on days we had my stepkids, usually on days we didn't. We still currently try to do dates on days when Ben is not with us. I hope that makes sense and clears up some questions for you. I mean, all I really got out of that was the bio mom is kind of a tear. So maybe I'm thinking this is more on the bio mom, low key. Oh, okay. Commenter, are Alice's parents still together? Has she assumed you're some kind of evil stepmother? Does she have a bad relationship with her stepmom and doesn't want to invite her? OOP, her mom and dad are her grandparents. She hasn't talked about it much with me specifically, but her bio mom is deceased, drugs, and her bio father is in prison. She's talked about it some with my husband, who was adopted by his aunt and uncle, father not in the picture, and mother died from cancer when he was 4. My stepmom has also talked with her at one point because she too was adopted by her grandparents for similar reasons. It just adds to our confusion. We have such a mix of types of family, regardless of blood. My mother-in-law has been laying it on thick that I need to smooth things over because family is family. And I'm the parent, so it's my responsibility to fix it. But fuck, I'm not ready to talk to Adam. Sorry, my mother, LOL, my mother-in-law is deceased. Well, your mother, bad take. Yeah, after reading that chat, I wonder if Alice is feeling overwhelmed with how much family Adam is inviting and the lack of family that she can invite. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, where she's like, your family is fucking double cheeked up on a Thursday, thick as hell out here, and I got my grandparents. I wouldn't be surprised if she was a little like self-conscious about it or reactive to that, but I don't know. I think this could kind of go either way, bro. One more thought from OP in response to a longer comment. Thank you for your thoughtful comment. Adam will always be my first son, whether he thinks of me as his mom or not. I thought we had been pretty clear throughout the years that I love him, regardless of what he thinks of me, and that my involvement extends to whatever he wants of me and some fair non-negotiables. Mostly safety things, chores his dad agreed on when I asked, that kind of thing. I couldn't get in with my therapist this week, but I do have an appointment next week and we will try to formulate a well-thought-out response back. I'm currently not a perfect person or parent, but I won't intentionally sabotage him further. I do love a good revenge story, but that's not it when it comes to my kids. I've talked to the youngest 3 and they've reassured me that it's their choice whether or not they go, and I won't push them on it. I've been reminding them that he's still their brother, and it doesn't sound like him. Mostly I've been reminding Charles. He is very outspoken and protective. Charles is supposed to meet with him this weekend, and I'm hoping we'll get some clearer answers from that. Yeah, bro, I just am like hearing these paragraphs from OP, and I just really doubt it's OP's fault. I think this has to do with something with Adam, or not even Adam, but like Alice or the bio mom. It has to be one of those two things. Because like even Adam doesn't seem very like, I'm gonna die on this hill. You know what I'm saying? Update April 23rd, 2025, 5 days later. Before I give an update, I just want to answer a few frequently asked questions. 1, I am not an affair partner. My husband did not cheat on his ex with me. We met about a year after they divorced. She was already engaged, not to current stepdad. Not that that really matters, but I mean, it might say a little something. 2, Ben was at the dinner. He is autistic. I went into it more in some of my comments, but he was very upset. He doesn't understand what the argument was exactly about, but he was mostly upset at Adam for saying I'm not their parent, and then at all the siblings for fighting with each other. Anyways, the update. The short is, if you guessed it was related to Biomom, you were correct. I didn't want this to be the case. Adam rescheduled with Charles for Monday, citing Easter weekend. Fair enough. He also texted my husband to let him know that him and Alice would be doing Easter with her parents. We expected that. At some point on Sunday, Ellie texted Alice. I'm not sure what exactly was said, but it prompted Alice to spill everything that was going on with her parents. I have met them a few times, but they live a few hours away. They encouraged her and Adam to reach out to us to clear everything up. Monday, we dropped Ben off to Biomom's. He stayed an extra night for Easter fun. A few hours later, she began to blow up my husband's phone as Ben mentioned the fight. My husband answered one call in which she was screaming and promptly hung up. He texted her that the siblings argued, everything is fine, and that if Ben has any further questions, we will talk about it when he's back with us. From some of the things she texted, we knew she was the root of all of this. Monday, Adam also met up with Charles, and he did come clean. Charles texted us to see if it was okay if they came over after, and we said yes. I'm not gonna lie, Adam looked a mess. He immediately began crying and apologizing. The short and sweet is that he's been trying to mend bridges with Biomom. Their wedding isn't 60 people. It's blown up to about double that, and they have been struggling to figure out how to pay for it. At one of their visits, Alice let it slip that Biomom jumped to help pay for things. It slowly snowballed from there, from small requests to big requests. I am not sure what the final nail in the coffin was, but it ended with Biomom requesting I not be there. Adam said it was easier to hurt me than to risk World War III with his mom. Alice's parents were less than pleased to find out how they've been with the wedding/budget, and even less so at Biomom's antics. They are trying to figure out how to start covering the payments Biomom has made. We have decided to help with some of this. Adam also asked if we could meet again in a few days with Alice, and we've said yes. There's still a lot of ground to cover for this to be close to mended. I'm still hurt, but mostly I'm angry on behalf of my oldest son. It's so hard because like there's almost like politics to wedding planning and wedding payments because they're so expensive and usually there's some parent or another helping pay for it. I do think if you're a parent helping pay for your kid's wedding, that is the only say you should have, but a lot of people abuse that power because usually they're giving a lot of money for it. Either way though, I really don't want to let Adam off the hook. And Alice, I think that should be clarified. Like Adam and Alice are in on this together. As much as they are apologetic and like that's a tough situation to be in, they also have to own up to like you sold your soul. Like you guys are sellouts. Don't get me wrong, paying for a wedding is expensive and like yeah, like the more expensive it is, the nicer it is. But like at a certain point, you have to put your foot down. And when it comes to someone abusing their power that they know they have over you because they're helping pay for something to do something that goes against not only your morals, but like your family and will cause a rift, like yeah, sure, you're risking World War III with your mom, but your mom is the one dropping the fucking nuke. Don't let her get away with it. Be like, that's a really fucking unfair thing for you to do. And you know what? You cannot come to the wedding, which would be hard. Don't get me wrong. That's a very hard thing to stand up to, but like, man, I'll say it. Weddings are kind of dumb. At the end of the day, it's just a big party. They're so fucking expensive and so stupid. Like your wedding is one day, your family's forever. So what you're telling me is you chose to ruin a relationship that from the sounds of it has been nurtured well, at least mostly positively throughout your life. And you're willing to ruin that for one day? For honestly a shit Biomom? I don't know, man. I think somebody should be like, hey, bro, that's tough. You're still spineless for that. And I will be that guy, chat. Don't you worry. That's me. Update post June 12th, 2025, 1.5 months later. And it's clarified that this is the final update. About a week after my original update, Adam and Alice came over for another conversation. Husband and I read through all of your comments and already had a game plan. We explained that while we love them to bits and forgive them, this is still a big fuck up and they need to hold themselves accountable for 1, the mess with the Biomom, and 2, how they treated me. It wasn't just about the dinner. It was also about the months they allowed ex-wife to shit talk me to them. We would not be bailing them out financially for this. You know what? I kind of fuck with that because I do think there is some accountability. Like y'all did the actions and now you should endure the consequences of like you did something to them that you should never do to your family and therefore they shouldn't do the thing that family does, which is bail you out. I kind of fuck with that, high key. I haven't pried into too many details, but Adam had a talk with his mom. She was calm and agreed to everything he said. in parentheses, suspicious. Mostly that they will not exclude me from future events or tolerate any unkind words about me moving forward. Him and Alice canceled their wedding. They got, whoa, holy shit. They got back a good portion of their money, mostly to pay back Bio Mom. When he tried to drop off a check to her, she absolutely lost it. Adam hasn't wanted to talk much about the things that were said, but he has also told us they are currently no contact. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. I always do it, but like either the wife has like bipolar or like bipolar personality. I don't remember which one it is, chat. I know some of y'all are gonna yell at me. I can't keep them straight in my head. I apologize, you guys. Whichever one is like you can flip on a dime where like she has reactions that are sane and like understandable, and then like the next moment has reactions that are like the complete opposite, insane, nuclear, no rationality. Which one is that, chat? Bipolar is personality flips between mania and depressive periods with clear and longer time frames. Borderline is more instantaneous mood swings or reactions. Got it. So we're probably looking for borderline, not bipolar. All I'm saying is she absolutely has it. She needs to go into a psychiatrist to get diagnosed is what I'm saying. Because her behavior at the end of the day, it's erratic. There's something going on, and this is just me with my very limited knowledge. Keep in mind, I could not remember which one it was, BPD or just bipolar. But like from the limited knowledge that I have, like I feel like this is it. I won't say the exact date, but Adam and Alice asked us all to meet for dinner. We got there and Alice's parents / siblings were there too. It wasn't just dinner. They eloped. We got to go to the courthouse with them and then celebrate with them after. They seemed so happy. 3 days later, Hubs was at work and I was coming home from errands when I got a very panicked call from Ellie. Ex-wife was outside pounding on our door and screaming her head off. I gave Ellie instructions and then called 911. I then called my husband. When I got there, ex-wife was already detained. She hadn't broken in, but had damaged the outside of our door and the siding surrounding it. And she was still screaming. The stuff she was saying was absolutely vile, and most of the reason I haven't wanted to update. It was everything from that she hates me and it's my fault Adam won't talk to her, to stealing my kids from me won't replace the ones you lost. After that comment, I tuned out the rest until she was placed in the back of the cop car. It's important context, but we've had several miscarriages, one of which I know ex-wife knew about. What I really think she was getting at is the baby we had in between David and Ellie, who was full term and stillborn. I still don't understand how anybody could say something so awful and carry so much hate. Putting it out there is hard, and honestly, I don't have much comment on it. Other than I'm lucky to have the husband I do. Oh my God, that's just downright evil. Holy fuck. That is an evil fucking thing to say. God damn. Some of the charges we decline to pursue, some of the police department will be pursuing regardless if we ask them to or not. She's already bailed out, but our restraining order has been granted pending a court date with the judge. From the bits and pieces we hear, ex-wife's family has put her on lockdown. Her brother works for the department that arrested her. So this has been quite the talk of the town. We have not heard from her since, and her mother has told my husband we absolutely won't be hearing from her or having any other issues. We've been doing exchanges for Ben with stepdad. Super random, but that's actually very nice of them. But also, low-key maybe a little irresponsible. If the bio mom's still there, I don't know if I want Ben around. But if it's just the stepdad, like if they're still amicable with the stepdad, that's pretty cool. Because Ben probably has a relationship with them. God, I don't even know what to say, bro. That's just some evil shit. I'm glad she got arrested. I'm glad she's gonna get consequences to her actions and or psychiatric help if they deem her a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I found a woman's sock in my house after being away for a week, and my boyfriend lied to me about it. We have a 28 female OP, 30 male boyfriend. Posted in r/relationship advice on May 29th, 2025. So it's recent. I was away for a week for work. He was off work nearly this entire time as he works 1 week on, 1 week off. When I came home, my boyfriend had cleaned the house up quite extensively. Obviously not a crime in itself, but it was surprising and a little out of character. I usually have to do most of the cleaning, so it was unexpected. He's even picked up some of my laundry that I'd left in the washroom and living room and put it in the basket. I was surprised, but I didn't think much of it. He started night shifts the day after I returned, and I was working days, so I came home from work after he'd left. I figured I'd spend some time cleaning the house too, as he'd done. There's a shop vac that's been sitting just outside of our bedroom door for a few weeks that I finally moved to the closet. When I moved it, I found a sock just behind it. A small ankle sock. Obviously, women's in a brand that I've never seen before. I had a bad feeling by this point, but I put the sock on a table by my bedside and continued cleaning, intending to ask him about it when he returned from work early in the morning. When I asked him whose sock it was, he said he didn't know. He then said he found it on the stairs and thought it was mine, so he put it there. But I put the sock there. I doubt he'd even seen it around the house, or else it wouldn't have been behind the shop vac. And if he had seen it and thought it was mine, wouldn't he have put it in the basket with my other clothes that he'd put away? I told him that I put the sock there and asked him why he lied about putting it there. He said he didn't have anybody over and he didn't know whose sock it is. I mean, bro's filling in the blanks for you. You're asking him why he lied and he's jumping to like, I didn't have anybody over. I left and got ready for work and he went to sleep. Any advice on how to address this? I think the more appropriate, mature way to deal with this is to ask them one more time and like maybe be a little bit more aggressive about like, this is really fucking fishy. Low key, y'all, I think it's go through phone time because he now knows that you're on to him. If he's doing something, he's probably already thinking, I gotta cover my tracks. I gotta delete messages. I gotta delete pictures. I gotta erase Instagram DMs, like everything. So like, I know it's not the mature answer. And every single time I give this answer, some asshole in the comments is like, that's so immature. I don't care. Because at a certain point, I think there's enough evidence to where it makes sense to check the phone. And I think this is pretty damn good evidence. If he lied, cleaned your house, which is very out of character, and there's a woman's sock in a place there shouldn't be a woman's sock, don't get me wrong, there could be some other explanation. But the lack of and all those things, I think it's phone check time. I'm sus when people say it's immature to check the phone, not because it's a go-to, but there's enough probable cause here to warrant it. If I got caught in a lie and there was a woman's sock and I'd done something very out of character, if you explained all that, even if I hadn't done it, I would be picking up what you're putting down. Like, even if there's an innocent explanation for this, sure, but like the fish is too smelly not to act quickly on this. One top comment was highlighted in this post. They said he lied about how the sock got there first off. And when you confronted him about why he lied, he deflected with an entirely different answer you didn't even ask about. I didn't have anyone over. But you didn't ask if he did. You asked why he lied. It doesn't really matter who the sock belongs to. What matters is it's not yours. And he lied to you several times about it. Do you want to stay with somebody who would lie about anything? Even that deflection is a red flag. Like, you knew what she was asking because you are hiding what she is really asking about. Update 1 is from the same post on the same day. I don't know if I'm allowed to update in less than 48 hours as per community rules, but he woke up. I'm sitting here in my office area doing some work, but also periodically crying and reading the comments here. He came into the room and tried cuddling me from behind my chair. I was obviously stiff and he asked me why I was mad at him. I said that I didn't know why he wasn't honest with me earlier about the sock. He said he didn't lie to me. I said I put the sock there on the table, so he couldn't have. He said that he'd found the sock while cleaning and he tossed it aside, landing forgotten behind the shop vac. He then got super mad, saying that I'm always accusing him of cheating. What? Swearing around and saying that he's not coming on our trip to my parents' house during the summer and that he's staying at the house all summer and that a friend of mine who was supposed to rent the house for work during the summer can't stay there then because he'll be here. Hold on, what? What the fuck did I just read? Hold on. Oh, wee woo, even though I'm the one who lied and couldn't give you a reasonable explanation, I'm gonna accuse you of cheating, swear at you, and then tell you I'm not gonna go on a trip that seems to be pre-planned, and along with that, ruin the overall plans that we had to rent our house to a friend of OP's because you're in the wrong here. That's what he's saying. That's gaslighting and manipulating the situation. I asked him why he was getting so mad and said that I'd been upset and I just needed an explanation and reassurance from him. He continued to lose it, stormed towards the door and threw his cup full of coffee down the stairs, grabbed an old baseball bat that we kept by the stairs and started hitting the step outside the door, yelling that he's not fucking cheating, threw his lunch that he'd packed for work all over the steps and peeled off in his truck. Yeah, of course, bitch tits over here drives a truck. Let's just theoretically say he's not cheating. Do you really want to be with this guy? The guy that you asked a reasonable question about something very suspicious, and he throws a tantrum like a goddamn 6-year-old. Not only that, but also low-key being violent with it, like grabbing a baseball bat and hitting things. Just a little bit of a red flag. Yeah, girl, I don't know about you, but you need to make like Key and Peele and get out. I don't fuck with it, bro. Only a man who would drive a truck would throw a tantrum like that. A 30-year-old man throwing a tantrum like that? Yeah, he voted for Trump for sure, bro. We got update 2 on the same post, May 31st, 2025, 2 days from the original post. We broke up. Best decision of your life, girl. As a lot of comments have said too, it wasn't really about the sock anymore. Maybe I won't ever know what happened while I was away, but the violence in his response was frightening, and I don't want to be with someone that makes me feel unsafe in my home. It wasn't the first time I've seen him that angry, but it's the first time that he's done something so physical, and I don't want to be involved if it continues to escalate. He's been taking some of his stuff while I've been out of the house, and one of our dogs, which has been probably the most upsetting out of— oh no! He's been taking some of his stuff while I've been out of the house, and he took one of our dogs, which has probably been the most upsetting out of all of this. And I've been changing the lock code after each time. I have some friends that live nearby that I've explained the situation to, and they've assured me I can contact them if I ever end up in an unsafe situation. Thank you to everyone that has offered advice, shared your own experiences, or expressed concern for my safety in the comments. There will be a lot of upcoming changes in my life due to this, but I know it's for the best. Damn, bro, but I kind of do want an explanation on the sock. I mean, he was probably cheating. Let's be so fucking for real about it, but I'm very curious. I really wish he would have checked his phone while he was sleeping. Like, that was a perfect opportunity. I want the truth. I'm so fucking nosy. Maybe he was cross-dressing. You're kind of right. Maybe he was. But also, if he was cross-dressing, I guess maybe he would buy his own socks for that. But it didn't sound like a sock. Like, it's not like she was like, oh, this sock would fit him, you know? I don't know. That would at least be an explanation. Am I the a-hole for cutting all contact with my family because of a prank? The original post was posted on December 18th, 2024. So I have posted a story on here before, and I got some pretty good advice, so please help. Here's what happened. I, 27 female, have always had a complicated relationship with my family. They've always been the type of people who think any joke is fine as long as someone laughs, no matter who gets hurt. Over the years, I've tried to brush it off and not let it bother me too much, but this time they crossed the line I can't ignore. Recently, I achieved something big in my life. I bought my first home after saving for years. It's something I worked incredibly hard for, sacrificing vacations, nights out, and basically anything extra to make it happen. I was beyond proud of myself and excited to finally have a place to call my own. Naturally, I wanted to share this milestone with my family, even though our relationship has always been rocky. A few weeks ago, we had a family dinner to celebrate my new home. Everything seemed fine at first. They congratulated me, asked me about the house, and seemed genuinely happy for me. But halfway through the night, my brother, 30 male, and sister, 25 female, handed me an envelope. They said it was a surprise to help me with my house. I opened it, and inside was what looked like a legal notice stating that my house purchase had been canceled because of a clerical error, and that it was now being sold to someone else. It even had an official looking letterhead, my name, and details about the house. I was in complete shock. Everyone around the table started laughing, and my brothers yelled, "Gotcha!" Turns out they had faked the letter and thought it would be hilarious to see my reaction. I burst into tears, which only made them laugh harder. Okay, damn, that is... Yo, when someone cries, you don't laugh harder. They even recorded the whole thing on their phones to post on social media. Uh-oh, double whammy. That's fucked up. When I finally managed to speak, I told them how cruel this was. Buying this house was the biggest thing I'd ever done, and they turned it into a joke at my expense. Their response? "You're so sensitive. It was just a prank. Lighten up." I left the dinner early, completely heartbroken. A few days later, I decided I'd had enough. This wasn't the first time they pulled a prank like this. Over the years, they've humiliated me countless times, once ruining a job interview outfit by accidentally spilling coffee on it. Another time pretending to lose my dog just to see me panic. I cut off all contact. I didn't make a scene. I just stopped responding to messages, blocked them on social media, and declined invites to family events. Now I'm getting guilt-tripping messages from extended family saying I'm being selfish and tearing the family apart. My mom even left me a voicemail crying about how much she misses me and begging me to come back. But I can't bring myself to forgive them. This prank felt like the final straw, and I don't see how I can trust them again. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my family over this prank. Okay, here's the thing, chat. Here is what I will say. The prank that was the final straw, kind of mid in my opinion. The presentation of that, there's no way you actually believed them. That being said, these pranks are fucking crazy. These are the pranks that are worth going no contact with people. Ruining a job interview outfit by accidentally spilling coffee on it. You're literally fucking with their career. Pretending to lose their dog. Bro, if my family pretended to lose my cat, I would fucking rain hellfire upon them. That is crazy. This prank that just happened shouldn't have happened because you should have cut them off after those pranks. Like I said, guys, I was reading that prank and I was like, all right. Me personally, if I saw that, I'd be like, this is a pretty stupid prank, guys. I get that it's kind of diminishing her accomplishments for sure, but we've seen some terrible pranks on this channel. Not too bad, in my opinion. But in terms of, are you the a-hole for cutting off your family? No. I think you should have cut them off a long time ago. You should have given them the snip years ago. The fact that they laughed at OP crying, that's not family. They're your tormentors. That's a good point, Matzo. It's not even the pranks at this point. It's how the family goes about treating you, which that was probably the most disrespectful part. Prank is just a more presentable way of saying terrorize. That is a hot take. I actually kind of agree with that. Like, listen, I've pranked my boys. I think a prank here or there is kind of fun. That being said, there's a time and a place. Being a good prankster, part of that is just being good at like reading the room. And these people clearly did not read the room, bro. Pranks are not for everyone. That's the other part to it too, is like, you don't prank someone who hates to get pranked. Is OP Meg Griffin? Dude, this is literally Meg Griffin from Family Guy. You're totally fucking right, Sammy. We have one top comment from Best Confidence 1560. You're rightfully upset because it wasn't a prank. It was bullying. It was a joke BS is something every bully does to justify humiliating people. They thought it would be fun to upset you on your big night and then take videos of it and post it on social media. Oh yeah, I didn't even address that. Posting something like that where someone has a bad reaction is honestly just a bad look for you, bro. Why would you post on social media the fact that you're just like an awful person and your mother is crying that she misses you? No, she had an opportunity there to rip them a new one about their behavior and about treating you with kindness and respect, and she thought it would be better to go along with the prank. You deserve better than this. I'm glad you finally decided to call an end to their bullying. Don't let them or any extended family members pressure you into doing anything you don't want to do. I'm sorry that they couldn't just be happy for you and your achievement. Congratulations on your new home. OOP updated the post December 22nd, 2024, 4 days after the original post. I wanted to provide an update because things have escalated in ways I never expected. After I went no contact with my family, I thought they'd eventually accept my decision and move on. But that hasn't been the case. For the past few weeks, my brother and sister have been trying to get me to see the funny side of their prank. They've shown up at my house uninvited multiple times, banging on the door and demanding to talk to me. At first, I ignored them, but it became clear they weren't going to stop. One evening, I caught them standing outside my house with their phones out, recording themselves while yelling things like, "She can't take a joke," and "Let's see how long she can hide." It felt more like harassment than an attempt to reconcile. That's cause that is harassment. I would just call the cops on them, bro. They're on your property. You went no contact with them. Also, if you want some sort of restraining order, you should have police documentation of them literally harassing you. The final straw came when I discovered my car had been egged overnight and my security camera caught my brother and sister doing it. I confronted them through text, telling them they'd crossed the line and needed to stop. Their response, "You're so dramatic, we're going to laugh about this one day." Bro, doesn't egging a car peel the paint off your car? That's not a fucking prank. That is harassment. That is property damage. File fucking charges, bro. At this point, I realized I couldn't handle this on my own. I went to the police and filed a report for harassment. They took my statement, reviewed the footage from my security camera, and agreed that this behavior was unacceptable. My siblings were contacted and warned to stay away from me. Their reactions? More mocking messages, calling me a snitch and accusing me of tearing the family apart. Some of my extended family members are siding with them, saying I should have just talked it out instead of involving the police. But others, especially those who have seen the footage, are horrified and fully support my decision. Bro, post that shit on social media. If they want to post their dumb shit videos that already probably make them look bad, like literally respond with being like, "Oh, hey, here's my siblings egging my car thinking this is a prank. Oh, hey, and while you're at it, here are their ats." Go tell them how unbearably wrong they are. Expose the shit out of them, bro. They deserve that shit. I feel a mix mix of relief and sadness. It's hard to accept that my own family could treat me this way, but I also feel safer knowing I've taken steps to protect myself. I'm focusing on building a new life in my home and surrounding myself with people who respect and support me. To anyone out there struggling with toxic family dynamics, you're not alone, and it's okay to set boundaries to protect your peace. Oh, that hurts. That hurts, chat. There probably could be some new posts. Should we check for an update on that? Okay, there's no update on that currently. Is it bad, chat, that I low-key want them to have an update where they're like, yeah, I like pressed charges, sued them for harassment? Like, is it bad I want the nuclear option, chat? Oh, I never said it, but not the a-hole. That's a pretty easy not the a-hole. With that being said, let's see if my prediction is right. Did OP go nuclear? I'm a little curious. New update. OOP updated it March 5th, 2025, nearly 3 months later. Final edit, in parentheses, I think. I know I haven't updated in a while, and honestly, it's because dealing with all this has been exhausting. Even after filing the police report, my brother and sister wouldn't let up. I wanted to believe they'd eventually get bored and move on, but instead, they doubled down. The mocking messages didn't stop. They even bragged about the warning they received, treating it like a joke. My extended family was split. Some told me I was overreacting, while others admitted they were disturbed by my siblings' behavior. Then, things escalated. My security cameras caught them trespassing on my property again. This time leaving a mess of toilet paper and shaving cream all over my driveway. That was the final straw. Oh shit. Is this where the nuke goes off? I went back to the police and provided the new footage, showing that they had ignored the warning. This time, I filed for a restraining order. I had more than enough evidence to prove that their behavior was escalating, and after presenting everything, security footage, text messages, and police reports, the judge granted it. They were legally ordered to stay away from me, my home, and my workplace. At first, they acted like it was a joke, but when they realized I wasn't playing their game anymore, the harassment finally stopped. The restraining order forced them to keep their distance, and for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. Some family members still don't understand why I had to take things this far, but I don't need their approval. I did what I had to do to protect myself. My home is now a place of peace, not anxiety. My phone is quiet. My life is my own again. To anyone dealing with toxic family members who refuse to respect your boundaries, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You are not obligated to tolerate mistreatment just because it comes from family. Your safety and well-being come first always. And if they want to call me a snitch for defending myself, so be it. I'd rather be a snitch than a doormat. What a mid-fucking prank. What did they do? Leave toilet paper and shaving cream? I forget how old they are. 30 male and 25 female. If you are 30 years old and you are taking shaving cream and toilet paper and spewing it across your sibling's driveway like a fucking 12-year-old, you need to reevaluate your life decisions. That is just ridiculous activity. Honestly, I'm glad the happy ending there. I'm glad OP got a restraining order from their fuck-ass siblings, but I just can't even imagine like having a sibling relationship like that. Like, I read these stories of people who have awful relationships with their siblings, and I just like am so grateful for mine. Like, not to sit here and be like, hell yeah, but like, hell yeah. Shout out my 3 sisters. I love y'all. Y'all sick. My husband passed away, and now his best friend is trying to control his services. Original post, March 14th, 2015. My husband Jonah passed away unexpectedly a month ago from a stroke. I don't want to get specific about that part. It's the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life, and I'm not sure how I'm ever going to move on. We were married for 5 years, together for 7. The past 2 years, we've been trying for a baby, but we were just getting to the point of considering IVF when he died. Jonah had a close friend in high school named Marjorie. Marjorie also ended up going to the same university as he did, and they spent a lot of time together during these college years. Jonah said that he liked Marjorie's company, but never felt anything beyond friendship with her, which I totally believe. By the way, I forgot to read ages. We have a 28 female wife, 36 male husband, and a 33 female best friend, which I'm assuming is Marjorie. Jonah dated other women during that period, but told me that several times Marjorie hinted that she wanted him to ask her out. She also joked about wanting him to be her plan B in case she didn't meet someone and get married by 30. By the time I'd start dating Jonah, he had moved a couple hours away from his hometown and Marjorie. Despite this, Marjorie immediately began finding excuses to come to our town and hang out, which usually involved her encouraging us to go drinking and then her passing out on the couch at Jonah's apartment. I didn't mind her for the most part, but she had a habit of saying things like, "You know, you ruined our marriage pact, ha ha," and pointed out all the things that she knew about him, like what he took in his coffee, his favorite bands, etc. Over the course of our relationship, and especially after we got married, Jonah definitely put some distance into his relationship with Marjorie. He confided in me that he felt he had outgrown her and that they really had little in common anymore. He stopped responding to her invitations to hang out as often, though he would occasionally call to catch up out of guilt, especially when she would text him or leave messages saying she was so sad he was ignoring her, and the like. I mean, that's just overbearing, not even as someone who has romantic interest in you. I don't understand how people have friends like this, where it's like they need constantly to be talking to you, or they need you to reach out to them and talk to them. Like me and my best friends, we talk maybe twice a month. And like, that's just how it be. We're both adults. We do shit. This sounds so overbearing. Like if any of my friends sent me a message that, "Oh, I'm so sad because you're ignoring me," I would just be like, "And you'll never hear from me again." That's just so like unnecessarily clingy. But now he's gone and I had him cremated like he wanted. We haven't done the memorial service yet. It was too hard for me to even imagine the first couple of weeks. And I also wanted to give time for some out-of-state people to make travel plans. The memorial is this weekend. However, 2 weeks ago, I received an email from Marjorie sent to around 60 people, including Jonah's family, saying that she was holding a memorial service for Jonah in the town where they grew up the day before his memorial here. I was completely blown away, seeing as she hadn't mentioned anything to me or even attempted to call. Along with the details, the email said that she was planning the memorial in light of the fact that no other services had yet been held in his memory, and he deserved to be laid to rest with honor. For the record, she was invited to the memorial, which I'd been planning and knew it was happening. Yeah, Marjorie sounds batshit crazy. I called her, of course, and told her that while I appreciated her willingness to help with Jonah's goodbye, I was already planning a service for him that would involve all of his family and friends. She immediately went on the defensive and said that she had only started to plan a service when she realized I wasn't willing to do it in a timely manner. Bitch, your service is a day earlier than hers. What the fuck are you talking about? I told her that the timing wasn't her choice to make, but that if she wanted to have a memorial of some kind, to please just add on the invitation that his official memorial was gonna be held this weekend. She said, fine. I sent a message to all of Jonah's invited friends / family to make sure that they knew the real service with both of our families was going to be here, and then just washed my hands of the whole thing. This week, I received a message on Facebook from Jonah's cousin saying that Marjorie, who has apparently blocked me on Facebook, created an event for Jonah's official memorial service, her memorial, and invited everyone she possibly could. I've been getting blown up with emails asking which day the memorial is and where. I'm honestly furious. I don't have the emotional energy to deal with this. I know she probably also doesn't have the emotional energy to be petty, but I would just be blowing up everybody who responds by being like, this bitch is trying to, I don't even know, steal my thunder is the right way to put it, but low-key disrespecting the fuck out of Jonah because she had a crush that she couldn't get over at the ripe age of 33 years old, and she is now like diminishing Jonah's real memorial that should be held by Jonah's wife by being a crazy bitch. I would just CC everybody on an email and shoot that shit off. Fuck it. Throw Marjorie on there, bro. I ended up putting a post on my wall reiterating the date of his service here and asking people to please share it. Thankfully, I think the older members of the family don't use Facebook or email very often, so most of them haven't been confused. But a lot of people now think that Marjorie's service is the real one. I called Marjorie again, asking her to add an addendum to her event, saying that his actual memorial was going to be here. She told me that Jonah would have wanted it this way, and that if I couldn't appreciate her efforts, I wasn't invited to say goodbye to Jonah. I told her that was fine, seeing as I'd already said goodbye to Jonah when I held him as he died. She hung up. Apparently, she's now spreading information to her mutual friends with Jonah, saying that he was planning on leaving me because I wasn't able to conceive. She also said that we had approached her to carry a baby for us. All absolute lies. His cousin sent me a screenshot of a text where she said that Jonah always thought we would have the cutest baby together and that OP doesn't understand how much he wants children. All right, this shit's just disrespectful, bro. Like, that is the dead person you're trying to honor with your memorial, and you're spreading lies that not only make his wife look bad, but also make him look bad. Like, you're basically spreading around to his family and friends, oh yeah, this guy wanted to cheat on his wife. Yeah, fuck Marjorie. All my homies hate Marjorie. I'm at a loss as what to do. I don't care what she says about me, but she's now tarnishing my husband's memory, especially saying that he wanted a divorce. Jonah would have never left me, and anyone that knows him at all knows that we were committed to each other above all else. I need to figure out how to tell this woman to fuck off without encouraging her to spread more lies. And I also want to just forget the whole thing and crawl in bed and never get up again. Help me, please. I feel bad for this woman because she probably does not have the energy to do what comes to my head as like probably the only solution, which is just every person that's going to Marjorie's memorial service, you can see them on Facebook. I would just go down the list of the actually important people, tell them what's going on, like just have a copy paste paragraph that you typed out, maybe some screenshots or like Google Drive links to evidence, and just rip that shit off to every single person and basically be like, yeah, Marjorie's batshit fucking crazy. Don't go to her memorial service. It's a lot of time. That's a lot of energy. So I don't know if that's a feasible thing to do. I also just think at a certain point, the people that actually mattered to Jonah and that actually cared about Jonah will be at your memorial service. And regardless, even if they do go to Marjorie's, like, even though it's the wrong one, they're still paying their respects to your husband. And like, that's the most important thing. I know that sucks to say. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on Marjorie's side. She's a total bitch. But I think, you know, for the sake of you not completely losing it, I just think it's something that you have to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Our family will be here and the friends that are real ones will be at the right memorial service. If the other people get bamboozled, like, you can't control that unless you went on a full-on smear campaign and like email text blast that would take time, effort, and emotionally drain you. All right. We have a top comment here. Marjorie sounds completely fucking insane and malicious. If I were in your shoes, I'd be very tempted to go scorched earth on her ass, but that wouldn't be the most constructive approach here. So here's what I do instead. 1. Send an email to all the guests you've invited to attend the actual memorial service stating, just to reiterate, the service will be held at location, on, date. Do not mention Marjorie, her lies, or the second service. 2. Contact the funeral home per another Reddit user's suggestion and see what can be done to pull the plug on Marjorie's service. 3. Delete and block this woman on all forms of social media, email, your phone, everywhere. 4. Unless and until someone comes to you asking about Marjorie's lies, resist the urge to set the record straight. If you try to publicly address her claims on Facebook or elsewhere, it will almost certainly get back to her, and she'll be even more fueled by the attention and the knowledge that she's getting under your skin. Cut off her supply by ignoring her. Wow, this is a way more mature approach than I took. 5. If she crosses the line into character assassination against you, contact legal aid. 6. Be content with yourself that the knowledge that if any of Jonah's and Marjorie's mutual friends have half of a brain, they'll understand she's out of her fucking mind and at least being outrageously inappropriate. 7. Do you have a picture of Marjorie? Get one and deputize someone at the real memorial service to guard the door and refuse her entry should she show up. All right. Rare comment on Reddit where someone actually has a mature response. Update 1, March 16th, 2015, 2 days later. I apologize for not updating sooner, but a lot happened in the last couple of days. Thank you to everyone who offered help and advice. For those that offered monetary assistance, Jonah and I were in a stable position financially. I'm going to be comfortable until I decide to go back to work. Your willingness to help was deeply appreciated, however, and I'm truly bowled over by your kindness. I took the advice of a majority of comments and called the chapel where Marjorie was planning her service. I spoke with the pastor, who immediately told me that he had been trying to get in touch with me regarding the service. Apparently both Jonah and Marjorie had grown up in that church. I'm not religious and neither was Jonah as an adult. My voicemail has been flooded, so it's definitely plausible that I overlooked his call. He immediately expressed how sorry he was to hear of Jonah's loss and said he had received my contact info from Jonah's great aunt who still attends there. He said he was surprised when Marjorie asked to have a service for Jonah, but she had claimed that Jonah and I were separated and I didn't want to be involved. He had been trying to follow up with me, but obviously that didn't happen. He was very apologetic and said that we could cancel the service or move forward in any way that felt right to me. He said that he knew the church members would appreciate the service since many of them remembered Jonah as a boy, but obviously Marjorie would no longer have a role. I agreed that the service could go forward. He called to speak with Marjorie after our conversation and informed her that she was no longer welcome to participate in the organization of the service after her behavior. Damn! Imagine getting kicked out of your own event. I mean, she fucking deserves it. That's awesome. I love that answer. He wouldn't tell me all that she said, but says she was distraught, and he recommended some mental health / spiritual services to her that he hopes she accepts. She apparently apologized for lying and asked to speak with me, but I declined. I feel bad if she's truly contrite, but I just have too much on my plate right now. Honestly, bro, don't feel bad. Like, she shouldn't get an opportunity to apologize after defaming and slandering your husband. I think she can go fuck herself. We had 2 beautiful services for my husband. First, the one in his hometown church, and then the non-religious one that I'd planned. Everyone that came wanted to honor Jonah, and that's all that really matters. I was told a dozen stories about him that I'd never heard before, and I laughed so hard I cried, then cried some more. My cousin was on the lookout for Marjorie, and I honestly didn't think about her the whole weekend. She turned up for the first service, and the pastor ended up speaking with her, unbeknownst to me. My cousin says he was sympathetic but firm and told her that her presence there would be inappropriate. Surprisingly, she left without a fuss. I'm still not sure the situation is entirely resolved, but I got to lay my husband to rest in the way he deserved, and that's the most important thing to me right now. 2 edits on this. 1, I debated whether or not to even mention this, but this community has been so awesome, I thought I might as well. I realized this weekend that I'd missed my period, and I'm usually like clockwork. It could just be stress, but I'm going to take a test later. Can't decide if I'm incredibly hopeful or absolutely terrified. And the edit 2 was just not pregnant. It was a long shot. Thanks for your support. Oh, I mean, kind of sad, but also probably maybe a little bit of a good thing. I can't imagine getting pregnant with somebody who died and that you're actively grieving for, and then now you have to be a pregnant woman and then a mother by yourself. That sounds terrifying. Okay, this is a little wholesome, and y'all know I'm a little anti-religion. That being said, I think it's good to point out when there's some good religious people out there, and I think this comment highlights it. The one relevant comment they included, a commenter said, "I'm glad the pastor is such an awesome, compassionate person and that you were able to memorialize your husband with people who cared about him." OP responded, "I definitely expressed my heartfelt appreciation to him. I tend to be uncomfortable in religious settings, which is why I immediately told him that I'm not religious, but I was really moved when he said, that part doesn't matter right now. You loved your husband and there's always a place for love here." I teared up. I admit. You know what? Don't fuck with very many pastors, but I kind of fuck with that answer. That sounds like a pastor I could maybe get along with. I'm glad that ended well. I didn't even think about, hey, you just go straight to the source. That's kind of an absolutely goated move. 10 out of 10 play by her. 10 out of 10 recommendation by the Reddit commenters. Update 2, July 26, 2015, 4 months later. I'm not sure if anyone will remember this post, but I thought I would update since it's been a few months. I haven't been checking my inbox and I'm sort of amazed I remembered the password at all, but I appreciate all of you who sent encouraging messages. It means a great deal to me. It's been around 5 months since Jonah died, and honestly, it still feels like I'm waking up and living the same day over and over again. I'm in therapy, but the feeling of grief has not subsided whatsoever. Everything reminds me of Jonah, and I still feel like half of me is gone. I'm considering moving out of the country, or at least to a different state, but I also feel like a piece of Jonah is here in the house where we lived. Even worse, Marjorie has still not disappeared. I deleted my social media a couple months ago in an attempt to simplify my life, but my cousin, who also knows Marjorie, let me know that she has been recently posting photos of herself on Facebook with Jonah. Some were from several years ago, but she was saying things like, "I still miss my man every day," and "I can't wait until Jonah's baby arrives." She is apparently pregnant and claiming that the baby is my husband's. I mean, I hope she's fucking lying and this story doesn't take a super awful turn. She has also photoshopped his face onto several photos, some on another shirtless male posing semi-suggestively with her. The photoshopping is pretty good, but it's obviously not my husband's body. People have been saying things like, "Congratulations, we know you'll be a great mother to Jonah's child." Nobody I knew, thankfully. It honestly made me feel sick, and I went and laid in bed pretty much all day. I hate that she is getting to me like this, but I can't stand the thought that she's claiming my husband was unfaithful to me, and that people are believing it. One bright note is Marjorie's brother, who also knew Jonah. On one of her recent posts, he commented, "What the fuck, Marjorie? I spoke to Jonah like 2 weeks before he died, and he said he was trying for a baby with OP. You guys were just friends. This is fucked up and you know it." The post was deleted a couple hours later. Okay, as much as like Marjorie needs to stop being fucking crazy, I'm glad that there's a very high likelihood, if not 90% chance, that there's no way this is actually Jonah's baby. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't have the energy to battle with this woman, but I'm infuriated and hurt by this blatantly disrespectful pack of lies that she's spreading. My cousin called her and asked that she remove the photos, but she apparently said that OP can go to hell. She just doesn't want to accept that Jonah wanted a baby with me more, and she couldn't give him one. I'm lost, guys. What can I do about this? It seems like all I can do is sit and watch this crazy woman try to convince Jonah's friends and family that he never loved me. I mean, if she does convince those friends and family, are they really friends and family that you want to keep around? Anybody who's worth keeping in your life will take one look at that and be like, this bitch is crazy, and will also try to shut it down. There's a tiny little update here that says, I just spoke with Marjorie's brother, who called to tell me that Marjorie is not pregnant, but seems to truly believe that she is. He asked her how far along she is, and she said 5 months, but she is still completely flat. He isn't sure if she's lying or she actually believes she's having a child with my husband. He asked her when they had conceived, and she mentioned a date that he knew we had been on vacation. Yo, someone's gotta fucking send this girl on a grippy sock vacation, because holy fuck, man. No notes, just psych ward. ASAP Rocky. Final update, August 1st, 2015, 2 weeks after the last update. Marjorie's brother became very concerned after speaking to me, and apparently questioned Marjorie extensively about her behavior. She continued to claim that she was pregnant with Jonah's baby and that they had had a lengthy affair, but the details didn't add up. In parentheses, the brother knew Jonah pretty well and was generally aware of his work schedule, etc. She said they were meeting at a hotel at lunchtime 3 days a week, but he knew that Jonah came home for lunch with me every day. Stuff like that. He went home late that night to sleep on it. After he went home, Marjorie came over to see me at 3 a.m. She started screaming at me to come outside, saying that I had ruined her relationship with Jonah and how happy they were before me, etc., etc. I called the police and her brother, who both arrived around the same time. She pushed the police officer who tried to ask her what was going on and was immediately arrested. I felt bad for her brother, but he just apologized to me repeatedly. Marjorie yelled expletives and tried to demand special treatment because the police were apparently hurting her baby by keeping her in the car. I gave a statement and they left. Not exactly sure what happened after, but her brother says she is now under psychiatric evaluation and is apparently struggling with a mental disorder that he wouldn't name. She has apparently not taken her meds in 2 years. I didn't ask for details, but it seems she is going to get some help. I'm not pressing any sort of charges. Her brother also linked me to his post on social media where he made it very clear that Marjorie has been having some difficulties and absolutely none of what she said about Jonah is true. I'm glad this seems to be over, but I've decided I need a fresh start no matter what. I'm looking for a job out of state, and I'll be doing my best to leave my life with Jonah behind. Thank you all for your help and encouragement. As messy as that is, I think that's probably the cleanest that could have ended. Marjorie didn't hurt OP, but Marjorie got arrested. Marjorie's gonna get the psychiatric help that she needs. And the brother was able to clarify that Jonah wasn't doing the bad things that Marjorie was saying that he was doing. Messy as hell, but I genuinely can't think of a better way that this could have ended. Yeah, I mean, as hard as it is to leave the life that you had with Jonah, I do think when something major happens, like I always think breakups, but I think this would also apply for like someone you love dying. I think a reset will always be helpful. OP mentioned that she didn't want to leave the house that her and Jonah shared, but also I think it's really hard to heal when you're trying to heal inside the house that you and Jonah share. It's just a constant reminder. As much as like you don't want to like forget them, you also don't want to think about them. And I think that that's just really hard if you're in a space where it always reminds you of them. My partner is a Trump supporter. I can't respect him. Partner is a 28 male, shocker, and OP is a 25 female. Posted in r/relationship advice on May 31st, 2025. My partner and I have been together for the last 4 years, notably long distance for the last 2 years of our relationship up to now. They started 2 years together and then they were long distance for 2 years. Got it. We met at the end of a graduate program for public law, aka we were constantly discussing politics and policy impacts on people. We've been long distance to pursue jobs prior to law school. He worked in accounting and I worked as a military historian and are still currently long distance. Wait, we met at the end of a graduate program for public law. I'm so sorry, guys. This is me trying to remember knowledge of like law school. So wait, you went to undergrad and then grad school and then now you're gonna become a lawyer? It's a lot of fucking school. But okay, I'm picking up what they're putting down. Basically, they met at grad school and now they're working jobs before they go to law school. Big brain. Really took a lot of brain power to put that one together. I would consider us the classic case of opposites attract. We laugh at the same jokes and we can banter for hours about nothing. It feels like he is the other half of my brain. To be very real with y'all, I'm not someone who cares about physical appearance of my partner because I'm more interested in an intellectual connection. We bonded greatly over a mutual interest in 20th century military history. The opposite comes from our different political views. Given the subject matter of our graduate program, he told me very early on that he was a classical conservative. In parentheses, I never got clarification on what he meant by this over the last 4 years, end parentheses. And he's a registered Republican. On the other hand, I spent the last election cycle campaigning for Democratic candidates, and I've always only known voting blue. In the last 4 years, I have not skipped any opportunity to grill him on items of constitutional justice and general ethical principles, and I grew to love him over the years because I felt like we mutually agreed on items of political and social importance. I've always been very America first in the sense that I believe the most in extending liberty and justice for all to everyone, especially immigrants and historically marginalized communities. I'm going to get really honest here. I feel stupid saying this, and it's probably the main reason why I am using a burner. There has been unspoken tension since the 2024 election with Trump coming into office. My partner only told me he voted for Trump at the end of the election day, nearly 3.5 years into multiple discussions at length. Even as a self-proclaimed socialist, I come from a family of Midwestern libertarians who don't support the current administration. In parentheses, that's another story. So I can honestly say I understand the conservative perspective of many Americans, but most importantly, I am intimately familiar with the voices of conservatives and Republicans against Trump. I thought my boyfriend was one of those. I was wrong. He spends every day engaging in conversations about how poorly the state of America and the economy are going, but he refuses to acknowledge his part in voting his president in. I don't know. I guess the cognitive dissonance is really icky to me. Any political discussion has now become a regurgitation of Fox News headlines, or he's asking if I've seen specific content from random alt-right creators. He sends me linked to their content as if they were funny memes, instead of what they really are, which is an hour-long think piece on why a balding man should be allowed to own his wife. I feel like I don't respect my partner anymore. Politics aside, not being able to have a backbone and owning up to your beliefs is sad. I can't help but think this man cannot be the future father of my children or the man making decisions in my name. I guess the question here is, do I give him a chance to make this work or cut my losses? No! Snip, snip, chop, chop. This man is garbage. First off, what a pussy. If you're gonna be like, oh, wee woo, I'm gonna vote for Trump, don't do this like, oh, I'm just gonna tell my girlfriend who clearly has a brain and is very left leaning. Let me like tell her what she wants to hear, but then really do the exact opposite of everything else. I think ethics played into politics way before even the 2020 election. Like I would say it really started ramping up in 2016 when I first started voting. But now you're not voting based off of policies, you're voting based off of ethics. The last 3 elections have not been, which policies do you truly believe in? It's, are you a fucking good person or are you an awful human being who is racist, homophobic, and wants to own your wife, similar to Homeboy here? Or the only other alternative to that is, are you fucking stupid? Those are the only 2 two things I could ever be convinced of anybody voting for Trump. Right now, at the time that I'm making this video, July 7th, 2025, if you still support Trump, you're either stupid, unwilling to admit that you were wrong, or you're fascist as fuck. You're racist, you're homophobic, fuck you. That is the only answer, and that is why I am very adamant about sitting here when like viewership is what pays my bills. It would be so much easier for me to sit here and not pick a political side, but I'm not a spineless piece of shit. If you voted Republican, leave my channel. Don't even leave a comment. I see your comments on Spotify. I see your comments on YouTube. Fuck you. I will never agree with anything you say. You are stupid as hell. Get off my channel. Fuck Trump. Fuck this administration. I'll leave it at, will someone fucking do it already? I don't give a fuck. Anyways, TLDR, you're not the a-hole. Break up with your boyfriend. You'll be much happier. Fuck this guy. A couple of the top comments. One commenter said, you can disagree about tax policy and the zoning code and have a healthy relationship. You can't have a healthy relationship if you disagree about basic concepts of ethics and reality. End this. This commenter took the quote from OP's post saying, to be very real with y'all, I'm not someone who cares about physical appearance of my partner because I'm more interested in an intellectual connection. And then they commented, so he's ugly too. I mean, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, why would she specify that if like he wasn't butt-ass ugly? Like, of course, some dude who literally looks like the shit that came out of my ass this morning is fucking consuming content about, ooh, I should own my wife. You should own plastic surgery to make yourself look like less of a bum before you own your wife, my guy. Update, the same post, June 1st, 2025, the next day. I can honestly say I read every comment and it sucked being forced to recognize the reality of my situation, but I am very grateful. Like many of you mentioned, I think I came here to get validation on a decision I already knew I had to make, but I selfishly or stupidly was grasping onto any straws. This morning, I asked him to call me so we could speak about our relationship. I was direct with him in stating that I don't think our values are mutually compatible, and it's causing me a lot of internal turmoil and stress because I am constantly trying to justify my beliefs while trying to engage as a partner in his beliefs. He started getting upset with me because he didn't think I emotionally catered to his level of emotional maturity. That's comedy right there, chat. A Trump supporter with emotional maturity. What the fuck? Y'all, I think I have a higher likelihood of seeing a penguin walking around the 105-degree temperature in Las Vegas than I do seeing a Republican with emotional maturity. OP added in parentheses, context, I've been in therapy since I was a child due to a criminal event. He started therapy this year at my request. He further explained that he did not feel like I was giving him a chance to make improvements. After getting reamed by comments for hours, I was tired and I wished him the best and went no contact on everything. I feel a lot better. Thank you guys. Might update again, but mainly coming back to say anyone in a similar situation, the shame isn't worth the love you think you'll get. I'm gonna be so fucking real, bro. There's no way OP was coming. There's no way that this fucking self-absorbed, ugly, by the way, Trump supporter was making her come. Like, girl, go find somebody who will actually make you orgasm and you'll forget about this man. Sarby, the sex can't be this. Literally, bro, there is no sex in my mind that is so good that you have to stay with a Republican. And like, let's be honest, y'all, they don't know what they're doing. Women are literally divorcing men for voting for Trump. Imagine not even being married and sticking around. No, for real, bro. I think you have to be a special kind of fucked in the head to be a woman who supports Trump and actively stays with people who support Trump. I think there's some severe mental issues with you. My 15-year-old idiot kid got his girlfriend pregnant on purpose. This was posted to r/true off my chest on April 26th, 2025. I, 30 female, have a child who is 15 male. We'll call him Ollie, plus other children aged 2, 6, 9, and 11. Damn, 5 kids. As you can tell by my own age, I was a teen parent. I was lucky and we married at 18. Still married, healthy relationship. Worked our way out of a very dire situation. Graduated, started a trade, etc. And we are comfortable, stable in all ways. This information is relevant. Oh, I know what's gonna fucking happen. He's gonna be like, well, you guys got pregnant when you were 15 and it worked out, so I can get my girlfriend pregnant at 15. Oh no, oh no. Ollie has been friends with this girl. We'll call her Bree since he was 7 years old. Their family used to live in the same city as us and we went to the same school, same friendship group. We know her parents and are long distance friends ourselves. Not close friends, but say hello when the kids are on video chat, had drinks together before, etc. Bree's family moved to a very small town 3 states away due to rental affordability. In parentheses, no secret. We all have talked about the rising costs of everyday life. The cost of living in the city has risen, forcing many locals out. They moved because of that and for better job opportunities 18 months ago. Since then, Ollie has been begging for us to follow, giving us a sales pitch on cheaper housing, better paying jobs, none of which fit either of our professions, the whole works. We have said no because, well, no. But even if we wanted to, our other children are in school, sports, have friends here. Selling and buying another house, finding work outside of our skill set, or having to learn new skills, any normal adult would understand this. He does not. Well, fast forward to Christmas. Bree's family came back to our city for a holiday and the kids met up multiple times with each other. It was my understanding that they were always with the other kids, but obviously not, since Bree is pregnant and I am certain it was on purpose. He has access to condoms. I don't care for opinions on that. My access was restricted and I had him. He has had sex ed from me, my husband, and the school. He knows damn well how babies are made and how not to have one. Ollie now wants me to move to be with her and the baby. It's confirmed. I've talked to her parents. And I said no. I don't feel I need a reason, but he asked. You're 15. We don't have any proof it's your child yet. I'm not moving us away from our lives, and you aren't going alone until you're 18. We will do a DNA test, then we will look at parenting plans and topped it off with a too bad, too sad. You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it. Damn, getting a girl pregnant just to move closer to, I guess, the girl that you're interested in. As dumb and fucked up as that is, that's some fucking commitment right there. Holy shit. I'm not condoning it. I'm just more admiring the fucked up thought process of, oh, you know how I'm gonna get my family to move? Get this girl pregnant. Like, what? I'm not saying that it was a good decision or even a smart decision, but it's very big brain to be like, this is how. What the fuck? What are they putting in these kids' food these days? He took that back to Bree, and now all communication between me and her parents has been cut. I'm a terrible person. My comments about the DNA test are disgusting, and it's fueling my son's hate for me. He says I'm keeping him from the love of his life and future baby using my own successful relationship as proof it will work out. There it is. I actually don't even know if I am right or not. I'm just really upset, and I feel like my life I worked really hard for has been destroyed. Y'all, I'm trying to decide what the move is here. Listen, I just want to start this off by saying I think this is out of Reddit's pay grade. Like, what the fuck? I think this is out of my pay grade. I don't have any experience with having children, disciplining them, let alone disciplining such a complex situation. I'm not gonna lie to y'all though, my first reaction, a little part of me was like, you are intentionally doing adult things to manipulate me. I'm going to treat you like an adult. This is your kid. Go be a dad. I'm not uprooting my life and your sibling's life because you wanted to fuck up. This is your fucky wucky. Go and fucking fix it. And like, I know that's probably a little cruel to do to a 15-year-old, but like this 15-year-old has shown that he's manipulative, he's selfish, he's willing to do anything to make your life miserable. Like, I don't know. I guess my question is like, when do you disown a kid? Or when you just go, you know what? If you want to be there so bad, go live with Bree's parents. I don't think that's a great way to parent. I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm not going to sit here and lie though. That was the first thing that came to my head. I'm a parent. I thought this too, Sarby. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better, Kawhi, but we could both be bad people. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what? I shouldn't say bad people, but we could both be wrong. I genuinely don't know what the move is. This kid wants to be an adult. He wants to do an adult thing of have a child with another person. I say fucking treat him like one. Cool, bro. Then you're out of the house. Go find a job. Go figure out a way to support that kid. You want to fuck around, you got to find out. Does that suck to do to a 15-year-old? Yes. Do I think it's even completely ethical? No. But like, that's where my brain went, y'all. I don't know what else you can do. Or like maybe even to chat, maybe the answer isn't like kick him out or whatever, but being like, we're not moving, but you now have a kid. You are going to pay child support. You are going to go to school. You're going to get your degree. And on top of that, you're going to go get a job so that you can send money to Bree, or you can pay for train rides, airplane tickets, a car to go drive to them. Like maybe that's the answer, chat. But still, the 3 years living with that kid are going to be a nightmare for OP, which I guess that's what you sign up for when you decide to have a kid. Like you're taking that kid no matter what. I don't know if this is mean of me, but a part of me is thinking you need to be an adult before your time to the greatest extent possible. And that requires a little bit of, I hate this term, but like tough love from your parent. I think some people use tough love in an abusive way, but like I also think there's a little bit of like, no dude, you fucked up. I'm gonna hold you accountable to that. And that is the tough love. Salty egg, it sounds like the girl's in on it, but who knows? I mean, let's just keep reading. Edited for update to answer some questions. Bree is due September around the 22nd, so no, there's no option for abortion. I don't think that or adoption ever was. Ollie admitted it was on purpose last night. Apparently it was Bree's idea first as a joke, and that turned into a plan together. Bree's parents will only pass messages through my son, and I have heard this for myself. I stood outside the door and listened to them tell him, tell your mother, insert info below, because I know I will just go off on her about that bullshit still. They are talking shit about me with my kid. Why did these parents get mad? What did OP? Oh, they're mad about OP wanting a paternity test. Okay, I could see how you would maybe get angry about that, but also, damn bro, this story is really making me question if my intuitions around this situation are right, because I am totally willing to say that they could be completely wrong, but I actually don't disagree with getting a paternity test on this one. It's nothing against Bree. It's not even against Ollie even. It's just like, listen, bro, if these kids are stupid enough to hatch this plan, I think there also could be a possibility that this kid isn't actually Ollie's. Maybe that's a fucked up thing because I don't think paternity tests are something that should be normalized. I'm not one of those fucking idiots that's like, oh, every guy should get a paternity test. No, absolutely not. But like, if you're a 15-year-old about to commit your life to a kid, I think it makes sense to be 100% sure that that's your kid. They are appalled I would think that way of Bree when I've known her for more than half of her life and do not wish to talk to me. I will not allow him to move out there alone. There are some past issues such as Bree breaking up with him twice in the last 18 months because she found someone that she liked more in her new town around August and October last year. Same boy. Yeah, especially knowing that information, I will die on the hill that it makes perfect sense for them to get a paternity test. I'm like trying to decide if I want to shit on Bree's parents too, because like I totally understand being like, what you're implying about my daughter is that she sleeps around, and like that's not something that you should stand for by any means. But also I think as parental units, you guys got to be on the united front of like, as much as they were trying to manipulate OP, they're also trying to manipulate these parents, and they should not be proud of this and not be in any way, shape, or form taking the kids' sides, at least in my opinion. I just think the parents need to be on a united front right now. When it ended, she came back to Ollie. Bree is a nice girl, but her behavior is toxic and has been since a child. Her mother and stepfather are nice, but the relationship is unstable. The house is chaos. 9 children combined, blended family, and 2 out of 3 teens with serious mental health struggles. He would be leaving stability for chaos and no structure. I want a DNA test, and I will not budge on that. I am close to cutting his contact totally at this point because they are only empowering him and reinforcing his behavior towards me and his father. His father is a man of few words, which is unhelpful. So far, he's backed everything I've said and only really chosen to say, you have the intelligence of a pear. I can't decide if this is kind of a fucking bar. If I was in an argument with someone and they looked me dead in the eyes and they went, you have the intelligence of a pear. What does that mean? I would be shell-shocked. I'd be like, damn, maybe I do. No, but I mean, the dad needs to be more outspoken in a situation like this. I understand the men of few words and like how powerful that is, but there are some times where many words are needed, and I feel like this is the situation for that. Update number 2, May 30th. Wow, a month after the original post. Oh no, things have gone south even further. At this point, husband and I have been blocked on all social media and numbers blocked, but the communication with Ollie has continued. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to, but before using that, I asked him to video chat Bree with me there, and then I could ask Bree to please get her parents so I could talk to them about this, and tell her that if they were going to continue to refuse to speak to me, then I would be blocking all contact to Ollie and communication until this is resolved. I told Ollie this before the call. At first he flipped out about it, but it was this or I cut communication completely. I do think he understood that it is not okay that her parents are speaking to me through minors, and he said himself He would like us to talk to each other. No, wait, actually, that's a really fucking good point. It is so unbelievably stupidly immature to be talking about something so adult through like a shitty game of telephone via minors. That is such a good point that I didn't even notice. Bree joined the call and hung up when she saw I was there. Ollie called back a few times and she didn't answer. She asked via text why I wanted to talk to her, and Ollie told her that I wanted to speak to her mother, and if we didn't resolve the communication issue, then all contact would be ended until her parents made contact with us. And we make a plan for the next few months, including a DNA test, and then birth arrangements. Said that if the baby is his, we will travel there for the birth and first few weeks after. He told her that I personally think it probably is his baby, but I want to be sure, and I want to make sure everything is done right from the start. Well, Bree blocked him with a reply, and he is totally heartbroken, not eating, sitting in his room all day and night, not mad at me, surprisingly. Very, very sorry for him and to us, sad about it all, and I think regretful. He even asked me if there was a way to undo it for himself. I haven't talked about signing over rights, a male abortion, his father called it, because I think he's just upset right now. A mutual friend of Bree and Ollie's here in our hometown showed him a few posts she has made in the last 24 hours. Things like, "It's you and me against the world, baby girl," and memes about deadbeat dads. She also announced the pregnancy, which she hadn't done yet, and the post had some single mother facts and quotes. Ollie's friends knew about the situation, and a few were under the impression he had dumped her and the baby, going by the posts. But when he explained what had happened, they all rallied for him in the comments. I said not to, and now she's blocked them, and we can't see what she has posted. This is just a nightmare. I have had a plan personally, not set, but something I wanted to talk to her parents about. But I don't even want to waste my time at this point. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to with said plan. Basically, Bree does DNA blood test. We will pay the full $1,500 for it. A DNA blood test is $1,500 fucking dollars. That is information that I'm glad I do not know, because that means my life is not half as messy as it could be. I don't believe in God, but if he's real, thank you, bro. Sky Daddy be real for that one. If it is his baby, we can book flights and a plan to be there for the first month. I'll stay too with Ollie, maybe even the whole family, and then we can also work on a parenting plan and getting into mediation for a judge to sign off on it. Ollie's father and I split for the first 7 months of his life, so we have done this before and we know the process. But at this point, I think I will just leave it to settle before sending an email. Okay, you guys, I kind of want to read these comments because I'm very curious what people are saying about the DNA test, about what they should do with the 15-year-old kid, because I could be so wrong in everything that I've said. Some commenters could probably be like, nah, bro, that ain't cooking. You got to take care of your kid. DNA test is fucked. I just want to see what other people are saying about it. Commenter 1 said, nobody going to point out both children are manipulative. Obviously, the girl was on board, and it sure seems like they both kept it under wraps until it couldn't be aborted. Both children are bad actors here. OOP said this. I think it was planned 100% on both sides, and this was Christmas. She's around 24 weeks, I believe, and way past abortion. They also never told us until 20 weeks. Her family knew, but never contacted me. That's fucking sketchy. I can't even lie. Commenter 2, quite the manipulative teen you got there. But by teen logic, his plan makes perfect sense. From any point of view, you can't give into his plan, though. It would ruin you financially, ruin his relationship with his siblings, and yours with him. I would give him a detailed plan on how you and your partner manage to rise above all the risks of teen pregnancy, focus on school, plan ahead, make sure the village is on board, and of course, how lucky you both were that it all worked out, despite having to sacrifice so much. So here's all I will say here, and I'm not accusing OP of anything. It's more of like I would love to know if this is the case. I think all of this is stuff that you should give your kids before they get to the point that they have a teen pregnancy. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, especially if you come from a teen pregnancy that kind of ended in sunshine and rainbows. If this is me, I'm making sure during the sex talk, I'm like, you need it to be fucking clear. This was not smart. It was not a good plan. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't end up the way that it ended up for us. We got lucky. We were smart. We stayed ahead. We worked hard. We had sleepless nights. Don't do what we did. I feel like with the vibe that I'm getting from OP, they probably did that. But like, I would love the clarification. How does he expect you to support his child without your jobs? But he made the choice to become a parent. So now he will have to do what you did. Focus on school, get stability, make sure to stay in his and her parents' good graces so they can be the village they will desperately need. There is nothing he can do to support his girlfriend physically. And as a jab, he's done enough physical support for a good while to come. He doesn't have a job, no way to provide financially. All he can do is focus on being able to do that as well and as soon as possible. So by the time he's ready to go partying, no, he isn't. He's going to go to bed early to get up for his weekend job to save up for his kid. Edit to add, I just realized that if this becomes a family tradition, you'll be great-great-grandparents by the time you turn 60. Don't manifest that for them. That's nightmare fuel. Generational trauma? Not. Generational teen pregnancy. Okay, so it sounds like the commenters are maybe not along the lines of like the kick him out, treat him like a full adult, but they are along the lines of like he will have to now do adult things and for all intents and purposes be basically an adult who lives at home, which is probably a much nicer and more empathetic answer than the one I gave. I'm willing to admit that. Another commenter said, he's 15, you get to make the decision and you are doing the right thing. No way can you move your whole family because of this. The responsible thing to do is get a DNA test and set up a parenting plan. He won't like your decisions, but that's too bad. Sometimes being a good parent is making decisions our kids hate us for. This is a result of their bad decisions, not yours. Okay, looks like a lot of people are saying the DNA test is a good move too. Guys, I'm gonna jump into this. I really just want to know how this ends. I'm gonna make the bold prediction. This is not his kid. Sorry to do Bree dirty like that, but like I feel like that's where this is going. Update June 3rd, 2025, 3 days later from update 2 in the original post. Ollie's friend was able to see her Instagram through an old account. Different email question mark. I don't use Instagram enough to know what that means, but it meant they weren't blocked when they reactivated. They found the pregnancy announcement post, and if you scrolled across it, showed a digital copy of the scan Bree sent us as a 16-week scan. Apparently the first scan she had at the OB. That is dated 0404 and clearly says GA 19 plus 3 weeks, making an August due date, I believe, or very early September. This would not line up with the due date given to us, but does line up with when her parents told me she was pregnant mid-April. They told us we've had the pregnancy confirmed and sent a photo of the printed pic, which the date isn't on there. I actually think it may have been cut off the top. I haven't told Ollie about this yet because I want to be sure. I am very concerned about his mental health at the moment and taking that into consideration. But unless she gave the wrong period dates and the baby measured only 16 weeks, then it's not possible for it to be our son's. Bro, that's what I was thinking, chat. I was like, it's too sketchy for that not to be the answer. Also added information, her due date from what we know of is September 22nd. She was here from December 20th to January 7th and saw Ollie December 21st and 22nd and January 4th and 5th. Never overnight. I asked Ollie, when did this happen? And he said January 4th was the only time, which makes more sense as they were in a public gathering otherwise. They were at a mutual friend's birthday that night, but never stayed overnight. I have had 5 kids and I know the dates are too close to figure it out that way. Ollie also said that the joke Bree made was just to see if it happens, the pregnancy, because then it's obviously meant to be and he would have to move. To me, it sounds like she had the plan a lot longer, but I might be biased here. Oh shit, so what if Bree was manipulating Ollie to then manipulate his parents? That's fucking wild. Damn, and that's the last update. There are a couple of relevant comments though. Commenter said, so what you're saying is the most immature people in this situation are Bree's parents. I expect teenagers to make questionable decisions, although generally not to the extent of get pregnant on purpose so we can force people to move. But the parents are a whole new level of WTF. OP, I'm wondering if Bree has somehow maybe manipulated the situation there. I couldn't imagine being like this, and the family I've met before did not appear this irrational in the past. I mean, but are the parents stupid and they haven't put together the due dates like you did? I'm not gonna lie, y'all. All of this flew over my head. I will not try to do this math, but the way that OP was explaining it, if you know what all of this means, you can do the math pretty easily. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna hurt my stupid little idiot YouTuber brain, but if somebody wants to do it themselves and tell me how inaccurate it is, thank you. I love you. Thank you for saving my stupid idiot YouTube brain. Another commenter said, is her social media public or private? If it's public, then sign out, and some social media sites you can see without being a member. Then you can track what she posts. Are you even sure she is actually pregnant? Is she showing yet? Has she sent ultrasound photos? She could be lying about being pregnant in the first place. The fact she blocked your son and friends shows it's probably not his. Hopefully your son realizes how horrible this girl and her really are. OP, her parents confirmed she was pregnant. She is not really showing no. She sent an ultrasound photo, but it's a photo of a photo. I wanted to keep access to her social media to see if she uploaded on that, showed more information so I could check dates. I will see if your advice works. Okay, this is a commenter saying don't budge on the DNA test. Nice to know that other people also think that the DNA test is 100% merited here. Don't get me wrong, I think they should hold Ollie accountable, but like, he might also be a little bit of the victim. New updates. Update number 4 coming June 15th, 2025. The same update post, but 12 days later. I spoke to Bree's biological father. He lives in this town, who had no idea about any of this. Before you come for me, there was no known DV or anything. I felt I had run out of options at this point, and I just wanted a way to contact them. Bree's mother then made contact, agreed to the blood test if we paid for it. Ollie and Bree spoke again, and Bree asked to come here for a holiday and have an ultrasound with him to prove dates in person. I agreed to this, but I may not be thinking straight with the stress we have all been under. She says she is 26 weeks, sent him a photo of her belly, which is grown, and told him there is no other option but him to be the father, that the ultrasound had to go by her last period date, and she didn't remember, so she went by her app, and it was the period before. That's why the dates are out on the scan. I asked if she had a physical booklet of pregnancy notes or something, because I know from experience that they have all the confirmed information on them. But she said everything is digital with her doctor, and I didn't want to push because it's not my medical info. I'm wondering if I do just fly her out here on my own terms. Her mother agreed, and do the blood and ultrasound here and put an end to it all. I mean, if you can afford it, I think that's the right move. This sounds so insanely stressful just to like once and for all figure out what the hell is going on, because I feel like if you don't even know if it's actually your son's kid or not, you can't even move forward with like, what is the plan here, you know? And then everybody, including your son, even their parents and Bree probably have anxieties around all of this. So obviously it's a luxury, but if you can afford to fly her out, I say go for it. Maybe make your son pay you back eventually, because holy fuck did he mess up. Okay guys, let's just do the thing. I'm curious, do we get the answers? Is everything solved? Is it? I don't even think it said concluded on it. It just said new update. This might not even be concluded. Update 5, June 25th, 2025. Same update post, but 10 days later. We all came to a travel arrangement. We paid for Bree to fly out, and her father was paying for the ticket home. Bree was supposed to fly to us this morning and stay for 6 weeks total, flying back sometime in August. Her father's in charge of that flight. She was staying with us over these next few weeks while we do our annual July 4th family vacation for a week, and then a couple more weeks back here at home for the ultrasound/blood test. This was decided together, both families, because Bree and Ollie would like to have some kind of positive experience/memories during the pregnancy, and obviously, if the baby wasn't his, Bree would be taken to her father's and we would be finished with it all. But she never turned up for her flight. She texted the night before that the doctor did not recommend she should not travel as she is at risk of preterm labor due to her age, and her severe morning sickness makes her only be able to tolerate pineapple juice. So she is needing to be hospitalized and maybe even deliver early. Y'all, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know everything about being pregnant, but from looking at chat, she's at 27 weeks. That is way too early for preterm labor. Also, once again, guys, I could be so fucking wrong here. I know nothing about giving birth. How old is she again? 15 as well? I think Bree is 15 too. I'm not saying 15-year-olds should get pregnant. That being said, aren't younger women a little less at risk than if they wait till they're older to get pregnant? I could be so wrong, but that's what I've always thought. Okay, no, under 18, you have a higher risk of birth defects. Okay, thank you, Hostel Cran. So it sounds like maybe the risk is there. A lot of you guys are saying the 27 weeks is fucking crazy. 24 weeks is the absolute earliest a baby can survive being born early. Okay, listen, y'all, and I'm sorry, I did read a little bit of head, because it sounds like she could be capping, she could also not be capping, but reading the next line after that, this is on top of a group photo that included Bree, obviously pregnant in a tight tee, hugging the boy she was dating in her new town, his hand on her belly. It was quickly removed from her story when Ollie asked. I think it was intentional to make him jealous. I know she's 15, but she has shown a lot of manipulative traits, and I do not want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Sue me, bro. Tell me I'm bullying a 15-year-old. I don't care. I don't trust her. She sounds sketchy. I am done. I do not believe her or her parents. I have contacted a lawyer and a therapist. I will not be updating again until I know the outcome of the DNA test that I assume will not be done until after the baby is born, since I was told today. I cannot force her to have while pregnant. If this baby is Ollie's and my grandchild, I am willing to move Bree here and have her live with us. It has no chance and will continue to ruin my son's life from afar. Damn, bro, taking Bree into your household, though, that sounds like a nightmare. There's one relevant comment added to this post. A commenter asked, it's very possible that she may go into labor early is due to her real due date. OP, this is what I thought too. If the other due date is the real due date, then she would be something like 32 weeks, which would mean she would be 38 weeks when she planned to fly back. Therefore, an OB may say they don't recommend it. Yeah, dog, I don't trust her. I think there's some hanky-panky sketchy shit happening on Bree's end. Chat, am I wrong here? Is it easier to get a DNA test once the baby is actually born? Here's what I would do. I wouldn't burn any bridges. I would just keep playing along. And then when she's like, oop, I'm in labor, that's when you go, you make sure you're there, and you get a DNA test right there and then. Is that true though? Yes, very much easier. Okay, I think that's the move. At this point, playing any more games with Bree is gonna make you want to tear your hair out. Keep everything short, brief, to the point, don't do anything wrong, and just be there for the birth so you can DNA test. And then once you know that information, act accordingly. My new manager is someone I slept with years ago, and he doesn't know we have a child. This story has a brand new update a year later. It was posted in r/ask-a-manager on October 16th, 2023. The backstory. I went back to university in my late 20s to do my PhD and shared an office with a few other students for many years. One of the students, Jacob, completed his thesis and was moving back to his home country, so we all went out for congratulatory/farewell drinks. One thing led to another, and Jacob and I spent the night together. A few weeks later, I realized I was pregnant, and I had no way to contact Jacob. His university email and mobile number had been deactivated since he'd left the university in the country. I didn't need anything from him and was fine to raise the child alone, but I thought he had a right to know. I Googled him a few times over the years, but I never found him. This last week, our department head emailed everyone to introduce and welcome our new manager, Jacob, with a photo and a blurb about his education and work history, so I know for sure it's him. The night we spent together changed my life because it made me a parent, so I have thought about Jacob from time to time when my daughter asks about her dad, or I notice a genetic trait she didn't get from me. However, I doubt Jacob has given that night a second thought. I have no idea whether he will have any concerns about being my manager given our history, or whether I'm making a bigger deal out of this than I should. For what it's worth, in my years of sharing an office with Jacob, he seemed easygoing and practical. In our company, it is common for everyone in the department to reply all to these introduction emails and introduce themselves, welcome the newcomer aboard, and explain how their role will interact with theirs. I'm not sure if my email should note that Jacob and I studied together years ago as a way to get that out in the open, or should I email him individually and offer to have a discussion about keeping our history out of the workplace if he thinks it's needed? I'd appreciate any suggestions for language that indicates I'm not concerned and will be completely professional. And then, in direct contradiction to that, I'd also appreciate a script for a separate email saying, can we please meet outside of work because I need to tell you something important about our history. So I can tell him about his daughter. If you or any commenters think I shouldn't tell him, or I should let him settle into his new country and his new job first, I would definitely take that on board. Damn, this is fucking messy. Oh my God. Here's what I'm thinking, chat. Number one, the only thing I'm 100% confident about is you should not keep it secret from this guy any longer that you had his child. Maybe, especially because it seems like you're cool with it anyways, you need to make it very clear, like, I'm doing fine taking care of this kid alone. alone. Like, you didn't know, you haven't known. If you want to continue operating like that, fine. A little bit of the coward's way out, in my opinion, but still fine. I think you should definitely get that out as soon as possible now that you have contact info. Honestly, y'all, I think getting in contact with him first is the most important part, and like letting him know about the kid, because this just sounds messy. Like, this is an HR department's worst nightmare. I don't think it gets much worse than learning, oh, we hired a guy who had a one-night stand with an employee that we've had here for probably years, and on top of that, her kid is this guy's kid and he had no idea. Can you imagine being a entry-level HR worker coming in and hearing that shit? Yeah, to be honest, I think the separate email needs to come first. I think this is something he should know before he fully commits to a job. That's all I can really say, though. I don't have a template for her. I don't have any other advice other than good luck. I think we should keep reading on this one because I don't think any of us are qualified to answer this question. Okay, so it looks like somebody responded to OP, and the response is really important here. It looks like it's like from a blog or something, so let me fucking blind you guys with this white screen real quick. Oh my goodness, this is what is professionally referred to as a real clusterfuck. The issue isn't what you're making too big a deal out of. You're not making a big enough deal out of it. It's a really big deal. I'm less concerned about the one night together than I am about the fact that you share a child and that he doesn't know that yet. Normally, the night together would give me some pause too, since he's your manager and that can complicate things, even if you're both scrupulously professional about it. But that's vastly overshadowed by the shared child. Jacob cannot possibly be assumed by any objective observer to be able to manage you objectively or credibly or fairly when you have a child together. Your employer almost certainly wouldn't have hired him to manage if they'd been aware of the situation, which is no one's fault. Jacob didn't know and doesn't know. Your company didn't know, and you had no way of knowing he was under consideration. But here you all are. One of you is almost certainly going to need to change jobs. Until that can happen, the best solution would be for you to report to someone other than Jacob. But how feasible that is depends on things I don't know, like the nature of your jobs. I strongly recommend doing one and possibly two things before you do anything else. One, definitely talk to a lawyer, and ideally, talk to a therapist too. The lawyer because of potential legal ramifications that you want to be prepared for. How will you respond if Jacob wants shared custody? What if your employer tries to push you out? Both of those could end up being non-issues, but the potential ramifications are significant enough that I'd want you going in prepared and with help lined up. And the therapist because the situation is serious enough that some professional guidance will help. Not trying to shit on her because I don't think a therapist would necessarily hurt. Do I think that there are a lot of therapists out there that are uniquely qualified to give good advice on a situation like this? Not necessarily. I'm imagining if I'm a therapist and someone comes to me with this, I'm like, damn. I don't think it would hurt necessarily. I think the therapist is after. Like, who knows, chap? Maybe this ends all positive and Jacob's like, you're the love of my life. I couldn't stop thinking about you since the night that we had together. And oh, we have a kid. I've always wanted one. Like, this is my chance. Happily ever after. Boom, bam. That would be pretty fucking sick. Maybe it does end very poorly. And that's, I think, when you go and get a therapist. Oh my God. Can you imagine being that therapist, chat? I think if I'm the therapist, I need therapy after hearing about that shit. Imagine it's your first day as a therapist. You roll up and you're like, wow, I can't wait to help clients really sort out the complicated issues that are going on in their life. And then someone walks in and is like, yeah, so I slept with this guy, couldn't get his contact info, pregnant, and now he's my manager, and I don't know how to tell him or navigate the complexities of having your manager be your boss when you have a kid together, but he doesn't know and you had a one-night stand. Immediately quitting my job. Like, OP replied to it in a comment. The extent to which I tried to find Jacob wasn't relevant to my question, so I didn't include the efforts I went to. For the commenters who are curious, understandably, I really did try when I first found out I was pregnant. I asked the other people we shared an office with, but no one had any information. We were students who shared an office and sometimes went to the uni bar together. We never spent any time together outside of uni. I asked Jacob's thesis supervisor, but it was Christmas/Australian summer here, so he was on leave for 2 months. When he got back, he gave me the address on Jacob's file, which of course, the Australian address he didn't live at anymore. The uni had a next of kin Australian contact number on file for his aunt, but no one ever answered it when I rang. Jacob is Chinese with a very common surname, and Jacob is just the name he used in my country. I don't know his actual given name, so attempts to find the correct Mr. Wong in a country where they don't use Google or Facebook went nowhere. I searched for the recent publications about Jacob's thesis topic and found a paper with Jacob Wong as one of the authors. I contacted the corresponding author and asked for Jacob's email, but they never responded. By this point, I had to give up because I was so sick with hyperemesis gravidarum and needed to focus on my baby's health. Oh, interesting. I didn't really read this article feeling like she was really going after OP. Oh, wait, maybe this is what they were referring to. What OP was responding to wasn't the actual response from the post, but this pinned comment from the person that wrote it saying, "There's a lot of debate below about how hard the letter writer must have looked for the man, but we have no way of settling that, and as many people below have pointed out, it can be harder than you think in some cases, especially when you're looking for someone in a different country. And it doesn't matter now regardless, because what's done is done. But assuming she did genuinely look, a page full of people doubting her is not helpful. Please stick to advice for the situation she faces now. Thank you." Also, people were looking for it. The LW commented with more info here. Okay, I'm guessing LW is like OP. That felt like a pointless hiatus. I don't know, maybe she could have done more, but also maybe she didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounded like OP was perfectly fine with raising this kid on their own. Should Jacob know? Yeah, but should she hire a private investigator while she's pregnant and trying to like get through college and grow this baby inside of her and then push said baby out of her and then take care of said baby? Like, I don't know. I don't really blame her, honestly. Like, I am so ungodly curious where this is going. Let's read the update. Update number 1, June 11th, 2024, 8 months later. Thank you for answering my letter. You were right. It was a really big deal. I was viewing the Jacob as my manager problem from his perspective until I told him otherwise. It was just a simple one-night stand over a decade ago, and it didn't seem like a huge problem. I hated and appreciated the reality check. I regret reading the comments, but thank you also for moderating them as quickly as you did. A lot happened in a short space of time. Thankfully, I already had a therapist. First, I spoke to my union rep who said, "Say nothing, but call us if HR tries to set up a meeting with you." Staying silent and having Jacob independently declare the prior relationship when he arrived would have been problematic because I'd still end up in the same position and I would have lied by omission. Our HR team can be gossipy and they know the age of my half-Chinese daughter, so I needed to have as much control as possible over the disclosure. I spoke to an employment lawyer who reviewed our policies, and at his suggestion, I wrote an email to HR declaring a prior relationship with Jacob. And then I was immediately pushed out. Even if you have all the legal support in the world, you can't prevent someone from doing something illegal. You just have recourse afterwards. In a meeting with my lawyer, the union rep, HR, and a member of the senior management team, I was asked to resign. When I said no, wait, hold the fuck on. You're telling me OP was there first. And not only did you have the audacity to say you're the one that has to go, but you want her to resign? Girl, drop the company name. We don't fuck with that company. When I said no, they insisted on a statutory declaration about the relationship with Jacob, stating what happened, when it happened, how many times it happened, in parentheses, 2 question marks, and who initiated it, another parentheses with 2 question marks. Y'all, chat, I mean, it sounds like OP lives in Australia. I know we have maybe one person in chat right now who's from Australia. Can they ask that? Asking what happened specifically? Like, what? When it happened might make sense. How many times it happened? That's fucking crazy. That has to be illegal. I also said no to that. We ended the meeting with each side agreeing to think about possible solutions. The company's solution was to start messing with my pay, my benefits, my swipe card access to my office, my computer login, and my email/calendar account. They spread rumors about me, and I heard coworkers whispering that I'd had an affair with a manager. They sent me for a random drug test at a time when I was scheduled for an important meeting with clients. They canceled accommodation that had been booked for upcoming travel, which I only found out because I was getting paranoid and called the hotel. I hope and pray that she is documenting all of this and keeping evidence, because girl, get your fucking bag, queen. Sue this company one time and you and your daughter are set for life. I can't describe how awful it feels to know that someone with this kind of power over your job is devoting their time and energy to thinking of ways to screw with you. Every day, I was going into work wondering what was waiting for me, and it was wearing me down fast. The advice from the union rep was to go back in time and follow their first piece of advice, or just keep documenting everything as we prepared to take legal action. The lawyer estimated that it would take at least a year to get any kind of resolution, and I didn't even want the job anymore. By this point, I wasn't sleeping much, and I had cried a few times at work. I was beginning to crack, and we were only just getting started. So I resigned. I wish I'd held up better under the pressure, but it was all just too much with the looming deadline of Jacob's start date at our office, and whatever way HR was going to drag him into this. I'm lucky that I can take my time looking for a new job, so I've had some space to process everything. Damn. I mean, I get it. I totally get it, but like, I really wanted her to like stick it to them and sue them for everything. Outside of the work stuff, I spoke with a family lawyer who outlined all the possible ways this situation could go and what the most likely outcomes were. Basically, my daughter is old enough that what she wants would get heavily weighed by court if it came to that. I've spoken to my daughter many times about her father. I told her what I knew about him and that I'd tried to contact him. I've offered her to see a therapist if she wanted to talk about it with someone who wasn't me. She's always said, thanks, but no thanks. The family lawyer helped me write out a letter which I left for Jacob. I told him about his daughter, said I wasn't trying to get anything from him, and gave him the contact details of my lawyer. After a few weeks of me freaking out that HR had somehow intercepted the letter, he emailed my lawyer. He was the easygoing and practical Jacob I remembered. He was still processing it, but he said he wasn't going to take any legal steps. He offered us his family medical history. He apologized if I resigned because of him. And he said he would like to meet our daughter if she's interested. She also has some siblings. I told her all this. She said she's happy that she has her father's contact info, but she doesn't want to meet him right now. She's of the view that having him in our lives would cause unwanted disruption, and she doesn't even know about the work clusterfuck. Well, I'm glad Jacob wasn't as shitty as the company was. I guess OP never gave any ages or anything like that. For some reason, I was thinking like, oh yeah, this is like within 5 years, but it sounds like it's within more like 10 to maybe 15 years of time between. It's so funny, y'all. I was just talking to my friend who she was like, I work so hard at my job and I don't know why. Unless you're really passionate about what you do, treat your job as just like a means to get income for yourself and sustain your life. Because at the end of the day, those corporate companies, all they fucking care about are themselves. New update from this year. That is update 2, June 9th, 2025, 1 year later from the last update. My daughter changed her mind and has been in contact with Jacob. It's still a bit awkward between them, but they have some hobbies in common, which they've bonded over. My daughter also seems very excited to have some siblings who adore their cool new big sister. I know some people were wondering why my old company reacted the way they did. For reasons I can't go into, my work gets scrutinized by outside authorities, and my manager's role is primarily a quality control one. Any suggestion that my manager had not checked my work impartially enough due to a personal relationship could have been career ending for both of us. Additionally, the work I do is in a very specialist field, and there are only a handful of people in the country who do it. Another company in a similar field had initially approached Jacob, who has had an amazing career by the sounds of it, to start a new department at their company doing the same thing. My old company paid a buttload of money to lure him over so that he wouldn't be in direct competition for clients and employees. Boo. I guarantee a little bit of misogyny had to do with it too. Let's not just blame it on them tossing money at Jacob. All of this meant that I couldn't report to Jacob. There was no other manager I could report to, and the company couldn't risk him going back to their competitor. Between the two of us, Jacob was the better asset to keep and the worst threat to lose. Okay, so even if that's the case, chat, you don't fucking bully your longtime employee to get them to leave. You offer them a nice, cushy severance package. I'm not excusing the behavior of my old company, but there was logic to it. I'm still angry about the way they treated me and how helpless I felt, but that is slowly fading over time. I had trouble finding a new job. Financially, we were okay, so I was being picky. For example, wanting to stay in my current city. After almost a year out of work, Jacob told me he'd been approached by the first company who still wanted him to start their new department. He was happy at my old company, but he offered to take the new role if I wanted to try to get my old job back. I would never ask him to do that, and I also never want to go anywhere near that company again, so I said no. Okay, guys, honestly, Jacob sounds like a huge W. That sounds cool, but yeah, don't go back to that shitty old company. Jacob turned the other company down, but gave them my name. It's a step up from where I was, but they interviewed me, and I got the job. I've been here about 6 months and it's enjoyable so far. Plus, I've never procreated with anyone in my chain of command, so it seems like a good place to work. I've hired one of my former coworkers, plus 2 recent graduates from my alma mater who are bright, motivated, and quickly getting up to speed. Unlike my old company, we don't have a lengthy wait list for our services yet. So a few clients have started coming to us instead of them. I am delighted that I'm becoming the very threat my old company was trying to avoid when they pushed me out. Bro, nothing's more motivating than sticking it to the company that you used to work for. Like, bro, I'm OP. I'm going after all their clients. I'm going above and beyond the Call of Duty to steal every single client that they ever have until the day I get put 6 feet under, bro. I need another update in like a year that's like, yeah, we put the old company out of fucking business. Damn, really wish you would have been able to sue them though, because fuck that company. My husband is burned out and can't work in his normally high-paying field. I'm resenting having to go back to work to support us. Help. This was posted in r/relationships. Original post was January 6th, 2018. And it looks like there's a really newish update from June 4th, 2025. So a recent one. All right. This is part genuine request for perspective/opinions and part getting it off my chest. To sum it up, my husband and I have been married 10 years and we have a good marriage and have never faced any truly difficult times. It'll be difficult to explain everything that goes into this, but I'm happy to expound in the comments. Basically, the last decade has largely been focused on achieving financial independence. I had never been a very business-oriented person until I met my husband. He is extremely entrepreneurial and his passion for it is catching. We have run our own businesses together and separately throughout our marriage. The goal has always been to make enough money on location-independent businesses we can live freely. Not necessarily retire, but have more freedom. Because of his encouragement, I am now on a career path that could easily result in that. In 10 years, we have moved 25 times, all because better opportunities have presented themselves or current opportunities have dried up. We're now facing number 26 with number 27 not far away because number 26 doesn't look like that good of a prospect. Without giving away details, my business fluctuates greatly. I've had months where I pull in mid 5 figures and low stretches of a few hundred. My career outside of this is food service with a very definite wage ceiling. My husband's career is professional and he can easily find a 6-figure salary position. His current online business brings in low 4 figures. We have always relied on his going back to work when money runs low. He's in high demand, can practically snap his fingers and get a job. I cannot. Here's the conflict and where I'll try to eliminate as much of my bias as possible. My husband is completely burned out. He physically and emotionally can't deal with the stress of going to work right now. He has supported me through the last couple years when my income has been low. I've always been aware of my financial contribution and make up for it by carrying the grand majority of the household chores. Even when I was working 60 plus hours as a manager and pulling in half his wage. But as our savings are dwindling, it's looking more and more like I'll have to get a job. That means pushing my business to the back burner, working a physically demanding job, all for a quarter of the pay he could get. I am like low-key judging them as also an entrepreneur. Not because like I don't think they're good at it. I just think like as somebody who's also been there, this is a little sus to me. I don't know how to say this without like sounding like an asshole, but it just sounds like you guys aren't actually that good at business. If this is what's happening, that's just kind of making me be like, this fluctuation's crazy to me. The mid 5 figures to a few $100s, like that shouldn't happen if you have a good business and you're like either coming out with good products or with good services. Someone in chat put MLM and low key, maybe. Just with the lifestyle that they're talking about, I think it's entirely possible. I'm not one to spend money. We didn't have a wedding. We bought my wedding band 3 years after we got married. I cut my own hair. I work from home in sweatpants. It's not as though I forced him to work jobs he hates in order to provide me with an extravagant lifestyle. I have worked shit jobs to help provide for us in the past, and even when my business isn't earning a ton, I still put in 50 plus hours a week. I'm craving stability, not permanence, just the feeling that I can unpack our boxes and not feel like I should save them in a closet knowing in 6 to 9 months I'll need them again. We've been child-free for years, but the last couple years the topic has been coming up more and more, yet I feel it's impossible to even discuss the idea of starting a family in the face of such uncertainty. I miss my cats, they're living with my parents overseas, I want a fish tank and a place to hang pictures. He says, if you want those things, then make them happen, which, fair enough, I completely agree with. I don't want to rely on him to provide the life I want. However, it leaves me feeling a combination of emotions I can't really put a word to. I find myself going through mental exercises of what would I do in this situation if I were single? How would I support myself? And I start to feel resentful. I'm not single. I'm married. And not only that, I'm not sure I can make enough money to support us. I desperately want him to find what it is he's meant to do. I don't care about the money or the dreams of financial independence if it means he's miserable trying to get there. He's been trying to work out which direction to change to for the past year and has yet to come up with anything solid. I know it's all about give and take, but I can't help but feel, I don't know. I don't have the words, and I'm at a complete loss as to how we resolve this. By the way, we have talked about all this about 1,957 times already. There is nothing written here he hasn't heard before. I'm a little confused on like where exactly they are in life because OP keeps bringing up like sometimes we have jobs, sometimes we have businesses, sometimes we're doing both, sometimes we're doing one or the other, but they never really clarify. Oh shit, I left my music on. No! I'm gonna cry. I'm super unclear about where they are in their life, but here's what I will say. These people sound like they want the best of everything, and because of that, they aren't able to actually like put themselves in a spot in life to where they can make that happen. And I feel like they're like living the entrepreneur lifestyle where you can live anywhere and travel around the world, which is like a fun thing for these gurus selling courses to like market so that people buy into it, but it's really fucking hard. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's not ideal for any type of business to operate your business like that. This is coming from another business owner. Like the best way to get shit done for a business is to lock yourself in a room, eliminate distractions, and get work done. Do you think that's fucking happening when you're traveling around the world, spending your money on Airbnbs, spending your money on experiences that take all day? Like, no, that's just not. Genuinely very fucking confused where they are in this timeline of their life. But to me, it just sounds like, bro, you need to pick a fucking lane and stick with it. If you want kids, you need to settle down in a house, pump those suckers out, and both you and your partner need to get a job to support those kids. If your number one priority is to still live the life that you're living, take a year off, build up that income, maybe build up a business that's more sustainable, that you can kind of keep the ball rolling without like as much work. It just sounds like they don't have anything set in stone and they're just flying by the seams of their pants right now. They're figuring it out as they go and they need to take a step back to take 10 steps forward. That's what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong though, because this was so, here's kind of how our life goes sometimes, but I'm not going to tell you where we're at right now. Edit, I appreciate all the comments and opinions. This got a lot more response than I expected. Just a few things. It's difficult to sum up an entire life in a few hundred words. With 25 moves, they've been for varied and multiple reasons. Some were because my husband was offered a good job. Others were to be nearer to family. 2, I've been pursuing my side business for the last 3.5 years. The 7 prior to that, I was in full-time employment, sometimes working a full-time job while also helping to run our own business. He has not financially supported me for 10 years. 3, I'm not sure where people got MLM from, but I'm in a creative field. As I said, I don't want to reveal details, but I create products and then sell them online. We are not scam artists, nor do we have to leave town because people are catching on to our pyramid scheme. LOL. I mean, we were all thinking it. 4, as far as financials go, again, it's impossible to sum up 10 years of income, but we go through feast and famine periods, times when money is flowing in and times when we live off what we've earned. I never live outside our means, and when money is good, we put thousands a month away to prepare for the down times. It's not a typical way of living, so I understand it's not easily relatable. I'm just still confused over the 10 years that they've been together or whatever. Like, how much of that were they full-time employed, and how much of that were they doing their side business? Because, like, it just sounds like they're kind of, like, doing whatever they feel like, but they're not prepping correctly. They're like, oh, you know, I feel like working. Now I don't feel like working. I feel like working on this side business, or I feel like, you know, there's no like, okay, I'm going to try to take my side business extremely seriously. I need 6 months of living expenses for me and my partner. Let me work my full-time job until I can save that. And then I can comfortably for 6 months run no matter what. Like, it doesn't seem like they're doing that. It just seems like they're like, we just kind of put money aside and hope and pray. If you've been pursuing your side business for 3.5 years, you're either doing something wrong or that was meant to only be a side business. Like, if you're doing a little something on the side that makes you like a couple thousand, maybe a couple hundred every month, fine. Leave it like that. And make sure that it's something that isn't going to take an enormous amount of your time or effort. But I would just venture to guess that that's not how this is. Okay, let me read some of these comments. I'm so curious what other people think about this. Commenter 1, so you both have entrepreneurial side businesses and full-time jobs, plus moving every 3 to 6 months for the last 10 years. That would burn anybody out. I know financial independence is a dream, but it seems like if both put down roots, maybe for a specified time, like 4 years, and found stability, burnout wouldn't be a factor. Financially and emotionally, starting over takes a toll. I want to say make a plan, but sometimes you have to go with the flow, work a job, and just make it day to day without trying to achieve large, crushing goals of making it big with an entrepreneurial venture. I think that's what they've been doing. I think they've been going with the flow a little too hard. I do think they need to make a plan. Even if they're like burned out for 6 months to give themselves some breathing room to figure stuff out, like that's what they need to do. OP responded to that saying, we go back and forth when it comes to full-time employment because of his high salary and short lifespan when working. It's been more like 6 months on, several months off, but there's always a side business. Always LOL. Another commenter said, if you're trying to reach financial independence based on location, independent businesses, why on earth do you have to move 25 times in 10 years? Oh yeah, wait, hold on. That's a fucking lot. 25 times in 10 years. That's a move more than every 6 months, right? I can't imagine that. Do you even like settle in? Do you even like enjoy the place before you leave? Why on earth are you moving for number 26 if you think you'll have to move again for number 27? It sounds to me like there's something wrong with how your husband is pursuing financial independence, and I'm worried that your husband is not so much entrepreneurial. Okay, I've never heard this phrase before, but as chasing money schemes uphill and down dale. After 10 years of working on it, how close are you to your net worth goal? You sound very frugal. Surely after 10 years, you have a solid nest egg and are seeing that net worth start to grow through compound interest. Why do you say your savings are dwindling when his business brings in enough money to pay the bills? From a FIRE perspective, this doesn't add up. Even if this strategy really is working in a money sense, if you are sick of moving and long for stability, the strategy is not working for you or your marriage. I think your reaction to the current circumstances is about a bigger set of issues than just going back to work. You sound like you're at the end of your rope with a lot of things, moving, housework, children, and going back to low ROI work is the last straw. As others have said, your husband needs to treat his burnout. You sound burned out too. You both need to take a step back and look at your plans and lifestyle through marriage counseling, financial advice, whatever will help you review with clear eyes and get on the same page. Your current plans and lifestyles are clearly not working for either of you. I mean, shit, bro, I didn't even get this net worth shit. From the sounds of it, it doesn't even sound like they have a retirement account. Where was it? They said something about retirement. The goal has always been to make enough money on location independent businesses so we can live freely, not necessarily retire, but we have more freedom. So you guys don't have retirement accounts? This is a weird one. Another commenter said, you'd think that moving every 5 months might be a sign that they're not doing a very good job of identifying opportunities and need to reevaluate their strategy. What's happening that opportunities fade out in less than half a year, or that there's always a new/better option to jump to almost immediately, but they don't seem to be moving forward. That kind of lifestyle is exhausting even if it's working. It really seems like they need to sit down and have a total rethink about their strategic outlook. OP responded to that saying, when I say savings are dwindling, there's a lump of money in the savings account that we never ever touch and treat as the rock bottom. We never get close to that amount. So in my mind, what we have to live off in savings is running out. When we budget, we don't feel like we're doing well unless we're able to put money away at the end of the month. After 10 years of working, we are definitely not where either of us would like to be. That's not to say the experiences and ups and downs weren't worth it. I honestly don't think it's in my husband to buckle down with a 9-to-5 job and squirrel away money for retirement. I've always been happy to help him pursue his goals of owning/running his own businesses because I have faith in him. It's clear after talking through this on here, we're at a fork in the road. I really want to know what businesses they're running. I just feel like if you've been in business for long enough, you will figure out how to make money some way, somehow. Like, that's where I feel like I'm at. Like, I knock on wood. Where's the wood? God damn it. Oh. And there's the beans. I met the man. I just feel like with where I'm at, like I will always kind of figure it out just because of the amount of experience I've had doing this, all the different things that I've tried, all the different avenues that I've taken to try to make something work and figured out, hey, this doesn't work. Hey, this does work. And what? I've been doing my stuff for, I guess, maybe close to 10 years. And hey, look, we're rocking and rolling. I can't imagine not being able to make the revenue at least somewhat consistent after what you've learned after 10 years. It's really hard, y'all. Like, I'm not trying to diminish that, but if you've you've been putting in the right effort and you've been learning and strategizing and failing and then learning from those failures and learning from the things that work, that's where I'm really stuck here. Is I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I almost want them to tell me so I can tell them what they're doing wrong. That's the control freak in me. It's the boy. Hi, buddy. Oh yeah, big stretch. You're so cute. I love you. You're so cute. Wait, go up there. Go up there. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, buddy. Oh, he really likes laying on the carpet. I don't know. I think he really likes the fact that we have carpet in this new place. Yes, Mr. Baby. Oh, big yawn. Him and his cute little mittens. I really want to know what is happening here because I feel like there needs to be more information revealed. And I do think people are kind of cooking that like it's more than just the burnout. I think their relationship probably is not working and they don't necessarily want to address it. So there's an update that was posted on November 1st, 2018, about 10 months after the original post. The title of this post is, "For years, my husband said that if I want stability in our life, I have to make it happen. I did, and now things are worse than ever. Help." Okay, that seems like a different tune than what we were reading above, but let's strap in. I'm writing partly to sort out all of this in my head and partly for the outside perspectives. I don't know what to think anymore. Again, I'm happy to explain any details that I need fleshing out if it helps. I'll try to be concise, and I truly appreciate you reading. 9 months ago, I posted asking for help about my frustration with going back to work after my husband burned out in his career. Previous post in my history. For the sake of anonymity, I tried to be vague with the details, and many thought our work was on the dodgy side. I don't care about keeping it anonymous. All these factors are relevant. I am an author. I self-published books and made a decent living doing it for several years. My husband is a software developer and mainly buys existing online companies and fixes them up to sell. When that's not working, he tries to work a normal 9 to 5, but typically lasts no more than 6 months. His last attempt was 1 day. My career before this was in the food industry, which means crap pay, long hours, and very sore feet. Interesting. I also need to remember that this was in 2018, chat. All right, the author thing actually makes a lot of sense then to me. Although I think if you're an author, you need to be also working at least a part-time job. Just from my knowledge about authors, that's just a little bit more of a Hail Mary. You really do need to bank on one of your books just getting picked up and marketed by book talkers. That wasn't even a thing back then, you know? I also think if your husband is a software developer, there's so many better ways to make money from that than buying existing companies and then trying to fix them up to sell. I don't know, maybe there's a lot of money in that, but like from my experience with software developers, one of the best ways to make money from that is just contract work. And people will pay you a lot of money to do that. Oh, sorry guys. You guys had to experience the shitty mic for a bit. I'm sorry. I blame Beans, honestly. If he wasn't so goddamn cute, wouldn't have had to switch mics. Oh, he's not here anymore. Is he in his pouch? He might be in his pouch. Where'd he go? How dare he fuck up my mic and then leave? I got a job that pays 95% of the bills. The rest is covered by savings. Yeah, I'd rather be working for myself, but I like it. I'm good at it. It's the first time I actually enjoyed going to work. For the last few months, I've been slowly changing and it feels like my husband and I are drifting apart. At first, I thought it was a natural phase. Things will definitely feel different compared to working under the same roof all day and night. Now, I don't know. From the previous thread, he says, if you want those things, then make them happen. Which, fair enough, I completely agree with. I don't want to rely on him to provide the life I want. However, it leaves me feeling a combination of emotions I can't really put a word to. I find myself going through mental exercises of what would I do in this situation if I were single? How would I support myself? And I start to feel resentful. I'm not single, I'm married, and not only that, I'm not sure I can make enough money to support us. If you want those things, then make them happen. Was that really in the previous ones? Oh, it was. What were the things that she wanted? She wants stability. She wants to be able to unpack all of her things. She's starting to think maybe having a kid would be sick and starting a family. She wants her cats. She wants a fish tank and a place to hang pictures. And then he says, if you want those things, then make them happen. but you guys are married. Is he saying if you want those things, then divorce me? Because if you and your wife have been living a certain lifestyle together that your wife is now expressing that she doesn't want to live like that anymore, the answer is, okay, well, let's see how we can make this work for both of us. Unless you're like, there's no fucking way I'm living like that, then I think the only answer is divorce. I don't think the answer is if you want those things and make them happen. It's if that's truly what you want and I really don't want that, then we need to start talking about separation and or divorce, right? And not only that, I'm not sure I can make enough money to support us. So this was like a callback paragraph to which OP, I'm guessing, is replying to that saying, I am making enough money to support us and it feels good. It's given me confidence in a way I haven't had before, but it's also made something glaringly obvious in our relationship. We disagree on just about everything and we have very little in common. I'm happy to work on my writing on the side while I work. He thinks I've given up on our dream and have settled for a world, the 9-to-5, Monday through Friday world, he is loath to spend time in. He sold his business and is still figuring out what he wants to do next. I want to buy a flat in the city. He wants to move to the country or use our savings to travel or live remotely. I want to settle for a while and make friends. He thinks there's plenty of time for that in the future. I want to make our home cozy and put up decorations like photos and artwork. While he likes it, he thinks of it all as just pointless stuff we shouldn't waste money on. I could go on, but you get it. It feels like literally everything I like, he hates. How old are they again? 35 and 36. That doesn't scream we have plenty of time to me. Like, I'm not calling that old, but I'm also not calling that young. Like, if they were my age, 27, 28, like, even that would be a little bit of a stretch, but I'd maybe understand it more. 35 and 36, that's not plenty of time for that in the future. I also realized that most of the moves, most of the big decisions were things I went along with. I'm not saying he bullied me or anything, just that I didn't feel too strongly one way or the other, so tended to go with what he wanted. Of course he talked about it, but it rarely was me pulling in the bulk of the income, so I didn't feel like I had much of a say. Now I feel strongly about a life direction and have the ability to make it happen, and I feel guilty. He says I've changed, that he's the same as he's been, wants the same things he's always wanted. This is me altering the situation, which I agree with, but it's not like it's this massive bait and switch plan. Our entire marriage, I've talked about settling down. I'm rambling. Here's the way I see it. We both love each other and genuinely want to make the other happy, which is why over 10 years, we've both compromised on choices that go against what we individually want. I don't know if I agree with this. It seems like he's compromised on things that fit the narrative that he wants your relationship to be, which is, I want us to be both successful business owners that travel the world and don't have roots anywhere. From this post, I'm not really seeing him compromising for what is now the new future that you want. All I'm getting is that he's willing to compromise when it fits the future that he sees for you guys, which is the entrepreneurial one where you're both successful. Like, I'm not a huge fan of this guy. He sounds a little bit selfish here. His way or no way. He goes to work for a little while so I can have a semi-stable home. I bounce around the world with him so he can discover himself and his career, but our tolerance for these periods have become too short to manage. He physically can't work for another person. I want to scream when I think about packing up my stuff and starting over again. Have we just spent so much of our marriage being distracted by exciting newness of moving and pushing for financial independence, we didn't notice how little we have in common otherwise? I can't help but feel like this is on me. Not my fault per se, but on my shoulders. I'm the one rocking the status quo, and if I want things to balance out, it's up to me to adjust my expectations. I don't know, y'all. I'm having a hard time with this one just because I think OP is so all over the place and maybe doesn't see everything through like a correct lens right now, because it really does sound like as much as she thinks there's compromise being done here, it's really her husband's way or no way. And the fact that she said that she's always expressed that she wants to settle down and they've been doing this shit for 10 years and now she's kind of getting to a point where she wants to settle down and her husband is so against it just makes me feel very hostile towards the husband. Bro is emitting really bad vibes. I mean, I think this could be just a situation where they both have grown to learn that they want different things in life and they just need to break it off. But I don't know, something about how OP is going about explaining how she feels that she has to like follow her husband's plan and can't follow the new plan that she's realized she wants feels a little wrong to me. I don't know if it's anything more than just bad vibes. Maybe it's my man hater coming out here, but I just am not getting a like loving, cherishing husband who cares about his wife's happiness. I'm getting a husband who's like, well, if we can't do it my way, we can't do it anyway. Okay, yeah, y'all hate this man. All right. I feel like maybe he never did and just agreed to get her shut the fuck up. I wouldn't be surprised. We got a couple of comments before the update. First comment, I remember reading your original post and I'm happy that you've been able to find some financial stability for yourself. Your husband can work for other people. He didn't lose his limbs in the war. He just doesn't want to. That's a very important distinction for the next point I'll be making. Your husband is content to constantly move around, live off of savings, and never settle in one place. While neither of you are old, you are getting to an age where settling down and having friends and roots is important because as you age, those things will get harder to do. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I just didn't say it as eloquently. Like, you're not old, but you're getting to an age where the things that you're starting to care about are important to do at your age. I'm not saying people don't make friends in the latter part of their life, but rather that most people have established friend groups at your age. You know what's something I didn't even think about too, chat, is like he might be low-key isolating her. He might be happier that she doesn't have the time to establish a new friend group wherever they go because that friend group might tell her, hey, your husband ain't cooking. So my husband and I also do work in the service industry. We make a living wage, but definitely nothing to write home about. Both of us would like to start our own business, but while we work on that, and likely for the foreseeable future, we will work these jobs. Even when our business is running, we will need to continue to serve because most small businesses are simply not sustainable at first. Even in the long run, we will most likely not profit enough to solely be self-employed. That is a hard fact, but it is the truth, and one that we can live with. Neither of us want to be servers. It's not our dream, but making money is a necessity. My point to all of this being that plenty of people work jobs that they do not enjoy and would rather not. But that doesn't mitigate the reality that money must be made and must continuously flow into the home by any means necessary. I think you should take a good, hard look at your marriage. It seems that the two of you are deeply incompatible and would both be happier with a partner who had the same life goals. If anyone has been bait and switched, it's you. By your husband who enabled you to believe that settling down was the ultimate goal of all the moves and schemes. I hope you find the answer that you're looking for and wish you a lot of happiness with whatever you choose. OP responded to that saying, before I get lost in my own selfish thoughts, I want to wish you luck with your businesses. It's not easy and I have loads of love for people who hustle for their passion. The friends and roots things is a real sore point for me. Our whole marriage, we've been firmly child-free. The last 2 years, we had a last blast of, are we actually sure we're sure? Which threw up a lot of discussions about the future and what we envision. We're sure, no kids. But that means if I want a network of people near and around me, I have to work to make that happen. I have no family, and his family is ambivalent about seeing each other. All of my friends have become acquaintances because of the moving. I see this lonely life ahead of me with no one in it, and that scares me. That also could be what this man wants. I just wish, and I know how ludicrous it sounds as I write it, but I just wish the normal life he could build with me would be enough for him. We could have an amazing, stable life full of traveling and friends and everything people dream of, but he sees getting a job as trading his life, his time, for money. And that's not a deal he wants to make. Thank you for your reply, and I really do wish you luck. I mean, fine, but you can't just make that decision when you don't have anything great going for you. I'm in the same shoes as the husband where I'm like, I don't want to trade my time for money. I want to produce a business that I can maybe do other things and money is still being made while I'm not actively working. But number one, I would honestly say I definitely 100% work more than a 9 to 5. Easily working 12 plus hours some days. I really don't think he's working that hard. Me personally. And number two, it's like if I wasn't doing exactly what I was doing right now, I would be working a job to support it until you make it happen. You can't just go through life being like, well, I don't wanna. Guess my wife can support my bum ass. Like, that's just not, ew. This commenter says, you guys sound super incompatible. Is this really the man who you imagine building the life you want with? If you want a chance to keep this marriage afloat, I'd seriously consider couples counseling to see if you can find compromises here that both of you can agree to. If you can't find those compromises, then you should seriously consider moving on. OP replied, I mean, yeah, I want to continue my life with him. I love him. I like him. We do enjoy each other's company. I really think these problems are probably for a professional. I don't know, girl. I think it's pretty fucking clear what you need to do. Like, whether your husband is intentionally doing this or is lazy or is even like, maybe he's not. Maybe he does really love his wife and just is so headstrong about this is how he wants to live his life and there's no other way that he can live his life. That's honestly fine. Where it's not fine is when you have somebody attached to you that is also living that life even though they don't want to. Either way, I really do think there is no other answer other than y'all need to get divorced. Y'all need to split up so you can live the life that you want and he can go live the life that he wants. There's no good answer other than that. Update 7 years later. I believe it was like June 4th, 2025. Yeah. So very, very recently. I was recently cleaning out my bookmarks and found this old throwaway and obviously the 2 posts I made with it. I'm not sure why now, but I feel compelled to write a follow-up. Maybe it will give people the bravery to change, or at least an example of how sticking with what you know isn't always the best choice. An obviously very long story short, with the help of those posts and a lot of long nights of thinking, I left my husband. In fact, it took him going away for a long weekend to realize how much happier and at peace I felt without him around. At first, the split was amicable, but looking back, I think he was just waiting for me to come rushing back to him once I realized my mistake. When that didn't happen and he could see I was actually serious about building a new life for myself, a switch flipped. We only spoke when he needed something from me, and eventually that stopped too. Enough about him. I'm now 42, happier and healthier, and more satisfied than I've been my whole life. I picked me, and that was the best choice I could have ever made. I lived alone for the first time, and my God, the peace of having my own space, unrivaled. I ended up staying in that apartment for 5 years, not a moving box in sight. I put art on the walls, I knew my neighbors, I made a home, I grew my career, and went back to school. Made friends, built a little community. I've done a lot of therapy and realized that the abusive patterns my parents created in childhood were just repeating with my ex. I fell in love with someone new. A real love, a supportive love that encourages growth and security. I'm doing new work that helps people and is so much more than just chasing money. All of those things have created a life that's more rewarding than I have ever thought possible for myself. I've gone through some really shitty times too, illness, cancer scares, deaths, loss, but I have no idea how I would have come out the other side without the community I'd built around me. Even something as simple as people at your local coffee shop recognizing you is a comfort after feeling adrift and alone for so long. Anyway, if I were to respond to myself from 7 years ago, this is what I would say: leave the loser. He doesn't care about you, never did. He only cares about what you can do for him, and now that you aren't serving him, well, just go. You are capable of doing difficult things, and you are worthy of the work it takes to accomplish them. Trust your abilities, trust your gut. It's been screaming at you for years now, honey. Life can be so much more than you've experienced, but you have to make it happen for yourself. I like the little TLDR. It's just left my husband happier than ever. I've said it before in my videos and on my streams, like, trust your gut is such a huge thing that I think a lot of people, like, for some reason or another have like learned to not trust their gut. And I think it's just something where, like, yes, sometimes your gut will be wrong, but genuinely, dead ass, if your gut is telling you something, you got to follow it 100%. I can't go into details. I can't go into specifics, but every time that I didn't trust my gut, bad things happened. It put me in shitty situations for longer than I should have been in those shitty situations. It just be bad. I think a good moral of this story is trust your gut. And also, let's not be with men who just use you so that you can financially support their shitty businesses. Sad that she wasted over a decade on that guy. Me too. Hey, but you know what? A decade is better than a lifetime. Deceased girlfriend's mother threatening to sue for equity in my home. Posted in r/legal advice. Original post June 14th, 2025. Really quick, if you're enjoying this podcast and you can think of somebody who would also enjoy these Reddit stories, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with that person. That is by far the best way you can help me grow this podcast, is by your word of mouth, and I would greatly appreciate it. Along with that, if you guys ever share a story of you listening to the podcast or even just a screenshot and you tag me on Instagram, on Snapchat, I always reply, interact, and repost those to my stories. My Instagram and Snapchat handles are below. As always, not required, but definitely appreciated. The location is in Florida. My girlfriend and I were together for 7 years. She passed away 2 years ago. She lived with me for 5 of the 7 years we were together. I bought my home a year into our relationship. I was the only one on the mortgage, and now I own the home. I came into full ownership of the home after she passed. My name is also the only one on all the bills. My girlfriend did not pay rent. My girlfriend's mother has contacted me and informed me that she intends to sue me for equity in the home, claiming that she has proof that my girlfriend invested in the home. In parentheses, we renovated one of the bathrooms and a bedroom, and I paid all the costs related to that. She did so via her family attorney, who I looked up and I don't believe works in this type of law. He appears to do wills and estate planning. She is saying I owe my girlfriend's estate $100,000. I have no idea where she could have even come up with this number. What is it called? Like common law husband? Isn't there some sort of law, like at a certain point you guys are considered married and your guys' assets are each other or something like that? Common law marriage, thank you. Florida does not recognize any common law marriage entered into after January 1st, 1968. That means unmarried couples in Florida do not have legal spousal rights regardless of how long they have lived together. Okay, I'm trying to think, chat. I don't know very much about this type of shit, but like to me it makes no sense. Even if she had contributed to renovations of the bathroom and bedroom, that doesn't mean that you have equity in the home. That just means that you put money towards something. If I decide to put money into helping my mom repair her car, that doesn't mean that I have any type of ownership in the car, right? Unless their name is on the legal documents, like the deed to the house, I don't think she has a say here, right? Especially if common law doesn't exist. For what it is worth, my girlfriend's mother has never liked me and has been particularly vicious towards me, including an accusation that I was responsible for my girlfriend's death. She died of natural causes. I have not spoken to her since this outburst, which was shortly after my girlfriend's funeral. Her mother was the executor of my girlfriend's estate. My girlfriend's family, including her father and siblings, have always supported me and have denounced her mother. Basically, I'm wondering if I actually need to worry about this and what questions I need to ask when I meet with an attorney on Monday. My name is on everything. I can't even find any receipts or anything that even has her name on it. This coming from an actual attorney does have me spooked a bit. I received this notice yesterday, and I think by that he's just referring to everything he's told us in these first 3 paragraphs. The first edit is just him clarifying by him saying come into ownership of the home. OP means that he paid off the mortgage. Edit 2 has one more clarification. No, her name has never been on the deed to the house, and also no, we did not share bank accounts. I paid for everything out of my own accounts, the mortgage, the renovations, everything. She at no point contributed to these. And then it looks like we have a couple of top comments. A commenter asked if the girlfriend had a will, and OP said that she did have a will and it left everything to her parents. There's also another top comment that said, if your girlfriend was never on the deed and there's no written agreement or documented financial contribution toward ownership, her estate has no legal claim to any equity in your home. Probate court cannot award assets the deceased did not legally or equitably own. Any claim to equity would have to go through civil court, where the estate would need to prove she had a financial interest based on something like unjust enrichment or a constructive trust. Let's play a fun game called What the Fuck is Unjust Enrichment? Unjust enrichment occurs when party A confers a benefit upon party B without party A receiving the proper restitution required by law. This typically occurs in a contractual agreement where party A fulfills their part of the agreement and party B does not fulfill their part of the agreement. Okay, so pretty much if you sign a contract and you do your end of the contract, but they don't do their end of the contract, that's unjust enrichment. And then what is a constructive trust? By the end of this stream chat, I'm basically gonna be a lawyer. A constructive trust is a legal remedy imposed by a court to prevent unjust enrichment when someone unfairly holds property that rightfully belongs to another person. It's not a formal trust created by a settler, but rather a court-ordered obligation where the person holding the property is treated as a trustee for the rightful owner. This remedy is often used to correct situations involving fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, or wrongful acts. It basically sounds like a trust that is set up when somebody participates in unjust enrichment. Law school with Sarby. For real, for real. That is a high bar without clear supporting evidence. It's possible this is more of a pressure tactic than a serious legal claim. If a lawsuit is filed, your attorney can advise whether it qualifies as frivolous and whether it would be appropriate to pursue recovery of your legal fees. Based on what you've described, the claim appears very weak. So TLDR, that mother can get fucked. Sounds like she probably still blames OP and is just trying to make his life miserable. I mean, that sucks to have a daughter die, but bro, don't take it out on OP, you know? It doesn't sound like he did anything wrong. Update post June 18th, 2025, 4 days later. First, I would like to thank everyone who expressed their condolences to me regarding my girlfriend. It's been a very difficult road since she has been gone. Secondly, thank you to everyone who sent me advice and support for navigating this. I just want to tell my experience. I ended up meeting with 3 different lawyers, 2 free consultations and 1 paid. I went with all of the documentation I had, and all 3 pretty much told me the same thing. Unless they had something I didn't, they did not see a case where her mother had any sort of claim to try to get anything from me. We even went over Cash App and Venmo transfers, and while she did send me money through those, the money I sent to my girlfriend was more than what she sent me. The attorney that I paid for the consultation for offered to write a legal response to the letter on my behalf at no additional cost, but with the understanding that should she move forward with a lawsuit, that I would have to begin making payments toward their service if I wanted to use them. I agreed to that. They allowed me to read their response and broke down the legal terms for me that I didn't understand before sending it. I agreed and they sent it. This was yesterday morning. Earlier this afternoon, I got a phone call from the attorney's office stating that they have received a response. The attorney then got on the phone with me personally to let me know the response they received from her attorney stated that she would not be pursuing any further and to consider the matter closed. I know that my experience will not be typical of what may happen with others, but I wanted to make this update and again, thank everyone for their support and their advice. Okay, so another TLDR, get fucked OP's girlfriend's mom. We love a little happy ending.